Did she say what kind of animal it was that attacked her?
So yeah, they're saying it's some type of animal attack. Statistically, there's been more animal attacks, mysterious deaths, people gone missing.
In other news, local authorities remain perplexed by the animal attacks.
What attacked you in the woods?
An animal. What else could it have been?
Welcome to It Was an Animal Attack, home of the supernatural drama series. I'm Sandile.
And I'm Fadzai.
And ladies, gents, everyone between and outside, we are back from our 2-month hiatus. Back like we never left. We're going to easily and smoothly transition back into something we have not done in ages.
Transition? That was a vampire joke. That was a vampire joke.
Vampire pun within the first minute. I don't know why I ever doubted. Oh, and if we struggle, listener, you'll have some grace with us because you're kind and graceful and lovely. And you've been with us for this 2.5 bloody years. Jesus. But we are here today to talk about, how to introduce him. Because not a fan favorite, not a game changer, not a character that people will think about first. But you know what? The only true immortal in the Vampire Diaries universe, Matthew Maxwell Honeycutt Donovan. That's Matt Donovan for the uninitiated.
Matty Blue.
Fadzai, how does it feel to be back?
I'm excited. I know for many of you listening, this might be the one you want to skip, but stay with us.
Stay with us, please. This might turn out to be the best one yet.
I am excited to talk about Matt. There's a lot of moments that we've been like, we'll discuss it in a Matt episode, and here we are. We weren't kidding. And Matt is truly an example in this show of a character, and he's there all the way, which is more than a lot of the leads can say.
Very true.
A character who is supporting, and he stays in that supporting role. There's an old adage that exists in certain cultures that, skew towards the patriarchal that I don't particularly like when it's about marriage.
Okay.
Where they're like, the husband is the head, but the wife is the neck. But in this instance, I'll use it on Matt. Matt might not be the head, but he's the neck. And without the neck, the head is lost.
The head is lost. The head would fall off the body without the neck. That's so true. That's so true. Snaps for this divine wisdom imparted to us from ancestors past. So, Matt Donovan. Oh, Lord, here we are. Before I go into the rigmarole of it, initial thoughts on Matt Donovan.
Without saying too much, I know that this is the CW, and this is the Vampire Diaries fandom, and he's a boy.
Yep.
So the instinct is to say, well, he's safe and dependable, and that makes him boring.
You know how we roll here in the CW verse.
But I think that he shines in that role. I think that he, at least for most of the show, is actually a very good role model for how masculinity can be supportive and nurturing and kind and compassionate. In a universe where we have the Tyler Lockwoods and the Damon Salvatores, and even sometimes the Steffans, who can be a bit more of that forceful nature, we've got Matt, who's like, stay-at-home husband energy, and we love that for him.
That's a very, that's really coming out with the zingers out the gate here. Love all of that. And I'm glad you said that because the interesting thing we're going to have to contend with in a Matt episode is that, and I'm going to say this without any malice in my heart, right? Because to me, in terms of my personal opinion and care, Matt isn't a Stefan Salvatore, Matt isn't an Elijah Michelson, right? It's like, I'm not going to war for Matt Donovan necessarily.
Yeah.
So trust I have no ill will when I say this, but Matt is a contentious character, particularly, as you say, among the men in the show, in that a lot of people do not like Matt Donovan, right? Like, it surprised me to find out post the show, a lot of people, even if it's not do not like, it's do not care for. If it's not do not care for, it's are generally annoyed by Matt Donovan. And I've always been No, it's true. It's true. To date, I still see like tweets and TikToks that are just like denigrating Matt Donovan. I was so
Is
curious.
it even anything he does, or is it just because they are disinterested?
So that's what I want to work out, right? Because it's like, what could generate that much negative emotion? And feel free to write in or tweet or whatever you want to do to give your opinion on Matt Donovan and why he instills such burning flame within you. But it's what I see, and it's what I'm still curious about as to like such an inoffensive character, a character who I would say objectively has the least power of the main cast, whether that be socially or physically. Like, as you say, his main role is as a support, and as I will argue for today, as the heart of the group. It waffles sometimes, but, you know, what are you gonna do? And I'm just always curious, it's like, what did he ever do that was so bad that everyone just does not like him? And that's gonna be my thesis question, I think, throughout our discussions of Matt. It's just like,
Bringing out the professional terms here.
we're bringing out the corkboard, we're putting up the pins, we're gonna try and figure out what is it that Matt's done that's so bad. And I ask this question out of genuine academic interest and not to prove any point, because I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm just curious.
I love that you call him the heart of the group. I would have been afraid to make a statement like that just because I know he's got so many haters. It's interesting that you call him the heart of the group. It's a role that I think, certainly if we're going to give it to him, he fulfills better than his predecessor in the show's spiritual predecessor, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, with
his equivalent,
question.
Xander Harris. Xander is supposed to be the heart of the group, but there are many times.
Spoilers for season 4, a moment that infuriated me to no end, but I digress.
As someone who is the heart of the group, he's certainly more emotionally intelligent than Xander Harris is most of the time. Because if you're going to be the heart of the group, you need that high EQ. You've got to be, or at least relative to everyone around you. Like, Katara is a 14-year-old girl, but she's surrounded by other teenagers and tweens. So she's able to have a relatively high emotional intelligence when compared to her brother and Aang, and later on Toph and Zuko. So when she's the heart of the group, it's like, yeah, that works.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. God, I'd never even, because as we always say, and as you always say, Fadzai, because you got me onto Buffy, is that Vampire Diaries being the spiritual successor, or some might argue a straight ripoff in a lot of ways, is that like you can one-to-one a bunch of the characters. I did not put together that Matt would be the Xander, a far superior counterpart in my opinion.
Certainly, even if he wasn't the heart, certainly as the token human who stays human the whole way through, that is something that he has in common. I guess in Teen Wolf it'd be Styles,
Which, in the eyes of fandom, especially in this genre, nobody can touch the baby boy Styles Stilinski. So what am I gonna say to that?
What is Matt lacking? That I guess Styles is way more central to the plot.
Certainly.
Yeah, I can't even pretend.
Certainly. That's not a comparison, but I'm just like, well, we'll get into it. So Matt Donovan, a main character, arguably. Like, he's in the main cast, right?
He's a main character.
He's a main character.
He's billed that way officially.
That's true. It's just that the early seasons, which for a lot of people are the primary, like, driving memory of the show, he is not driving plot lines. He's not central because he doesn't know about the supernatural, and that's not his fault. But starts off as the ex-boyfriend and now, you know, back to being friends of our lead, Elena Gilbert, the quarterback of the Timberwolves. That's what it is.
Which, I was thinking about that. Which weirdly, I don't know, just usually when that's worth mentioning, it's relevant.
Yes.
The sports at the school, rarely relevant. Like, it starts off seeming like it's
the
gonna
first
be
season.
Yeah, like Matt being the quarterback, like it's something they'll bring up, but we never have a game once we're past the.
We have a game in episode 3, and someone dies at the game, and they
then
decide
after that,
no more
it's like,
sports for your school.
Never again. even Tyler, in as much as he's the jerk jock, it's like, yeah, but Tyler's not really like, Tyler's sports are a hobby. We don't really see him being that invested in his athletics. It's not like he's like, oh, my scholarship. He's rich. He knows he can go to college whenever he wants.
He's sorted. If anyone needs to be my scholarship, it's Matt Donovan, but we'll get there. But also the quarterback thing is interesting texturally at first because you would expect a Tyler to be the quarterback, right? In these sorts of stories. He's the rich one, he's the popular one, he's the like conventionally attractive one, like he's the guy. But I find it interesting that Matt is the quarterback because in terms of a team sport, you can't make Tyler the quarterback. You've got to make Matt the quarterback. Matt's the guy people like. Matt's the guy who can get people to do stuff. Matt is the heart of the team.
And given what the status quo would have been in, I guess, season 0, Elena would have been, the it girl, although also interestingly not the head cheerleader, but the it girl and dating the quarterback, which I'm sure would have, chafed Caroline Forbes a little bit.
No comments.
I mean, we'll get there too.
Exactly. Right. So the other important thing about Matt that we encounter very quickly is that unlike most of his friend group, he is not a scion of a founding family of Mystic Falls, right? He is surrounded by friends that are all part of important, historic, like founding, settling families. And he's just Matt Donovan, a kid from town. Not only that, he's like notably poor. He is the poor kid at school, it seems, not just by the blue blood standards, just generally speaking, which is fascinating because his friendship with Elena is what seems to be the earliest connection, which stems from the friendship of their mothers, right? Like their mothers were joined at the hip. Elena and Matt were friends since they were in diapers, is what they say, or since they were 2 or something like that. Through that, he grows up with these rich kids. He becomes friends with Tyler at some indeterminate point in their youth. That's also interesting to me that like, how did that, formulate? But we never get a concrete answer.
I think I might have said this in the Tyler episode, but my theory, my headcanon is Tyler looked at this boy who didn't have all the privilege that he had, and he was like, you're not a threat, so it's fine. I can bring you in closer. It's what I've always felt was the reason for the deep friendship, at least until he's reimagined as being queer. The friendship between Jackson and Tommy.
Jackson and
in Teen
Danny?
Wolf? Danny,
How
there
dare
we go.
you
I
forget
always
the
call him
only
Tommy.
gay
I'm
character.
sorry. Danny, Jackson, and I mean, Ethan is gay too.
Yeah, that's true. They show up.
Jackson and Danny, where I was like, I feel like the reason that Jackson is so close to Danny, even though he's cruel to everybody else, including his own girlfriend, is because it's like, yeah, Danny's queer. He's not a threat. We even see that there's some social event. I think some side character who's not important, some extra who had lines, a featured extra, we say, complains that he's been excluded either from sitting with them or going to something they're going to because Jackson's like, yeah, you're not coming. And then he's like, oh, that's not fair. How come Danny gets to come? And then Danny says, because I don't look at his girlfriend's coin slot, which I had to Google. That's when a little bit of your butt crack is showing because your jeans or whatever are riding a little low, I guess.
Thanks for clarifying.
And I was like, well, there it is. Jackson's like, no, Danny's cool because he's not a threat.
Right. Well, and then, seasons later, we'd find out there was more going on there. But we won't get into that because that's not the purview of this.
But in a similar way, my headcanon is that Tyler was like, oh, Matt Donovan, the poor kid. Like, he's never going to upstage me in any significant way. So since I'm not going to spend all my time male posturing, we can form a real connection and actually become friends.
Unlike when Stefan comes back, who he doesn't know and has nothing to do with him, but is immediately threatened by. Very interesting and very true. As you said, Matt being an interesting case because he's the only main character to remain human start to finish in the show. Human and alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not gonna count his very specific mediumship for his sister that one time in season 3 because that was witch intervention, as you brought up Fadzai, and it wasn't like his own capability. It was like a witch from beyond doing some crazy shit. So that's settled. But as a result of that, he very often serves as the character that needs protecting. In the first 2 seasons especially, he's the character who's kept in the dark. He's the character who is in danger and sometimes needs to have his memory wiped so that people don't find out about the supernatural. That lessens once he learns about the supernatural, but even later on, he remains the human. And so he's this like grounding force in a town that's being upended by the supernatural. So yeah, I think that's as much preamble as I had about Maddie Blue. So I guess we go into season 1. there is no way that we're going to do an episode by episode or even arc by arc thing for this because there's not enough Matt to do that.
I'm trying to think what season 1 in broad strokes I would say is I'm pining after Elena in the aftermath. Mm-hmm. I'm watching from the sidelines in this awkward position where my best friend and the younger brother of the girl I still love are fighting over my sister. Mm-hmm. And then it's, I guess, the Caroline of it all, and then just the general family drama. Oof. That's about it.
The Caroline, which comes in much later. So let's start with the Vicky arc of things, right?
Okay.
Like, as you say, Vicky being this older sister, I'm always stunned to learn, who's... You know, again, we say the Donovans are a poorer family. Their mother is absent. Their dad is absent on paper also. Like, their mother is technically their guardian, but is nowhere to be seen.
It's implied they pay their own bills, or at least, like, buy their own groceries.
Distressing every time I hear it. But his sister's on the wrong side of things at the moment. She's got some sketchy friends. She's she's buying drugs. She's dating his best friend who is the like rich popular kid, but it's like, what's that about? She's messing around with Elena's younger brother, as you say. It's a lot of Matt in this first arc dealing with things that are spiraling out of his control and having no way of like dealing with them, right? Because it's like, there's Elena with the new hot guy, and I haven't, gotten over our breakup, and Bonnie's telling me, hey, just give us some time and space, make people work out, but it won't. And it's like, okay, let me focus my energy on my sister and try to make sure she's safe. But it's like, Matt would never, and this is, as you say, what's interesting is that Matt does not exert will over either of these situations. The most he does is he has a like mild confrontation with Stefan, which even in itself, if I remember properly, was at Tyler's egging on, which usually that's when the trouble starts. Like, his methods of like engaging with these problems is he speaks to Vicky and says, Vicky, I'm concerned about all this shit that's happening around you. Do you know what you're doing? I'm worried. It's speaking to Elena and being, okay, so what's going on with this new guy? What's happening with us? I still love you, what do we, It's conversation. It's never a domineering presence. It's never like overt action, which in a lot of ways is very refreshing because that's not how teen boys work in my experience, and certainly not in a CW show.
On the Vicky thing, it seems that the Vicky and Tyler relationship is still pretty fresh because in that first episode, she's working at the restaurant. Tyler and Matt are eating. Vicky comes by the table and flirtatiously is like, oh, would you like another drink? And Tyler looks at her and eating her with his eyes. He's like, oh, I'd love one. No. And then Matt is like, dude, please tell me you're not dating my sister. And then Tyler's like, I'm not dating your sister. Very unconvincingly.
Wow.
And then Matt is like, you're such a dick. But then leaves it there, which a lot of other guys wouldn't do. There is something to be said about that typical straight guy thing of, oh, this is your best friend and you're fine with that. But the moment you see him pursuing a woman in your family, then it's like, whoa, no, you're not a good guy. As you say, he doesn't try to exert force. He doesn't pressure Tyler into breaking up with Vicky. He doesn't go to Vicky and say, you shouldn't be with Tyler. He's no good for you. He's just like, he's passively peeved by the situation.
So those are the pieces we start off with. Vicky's attacked. The one big thing is that Vicky's attacked by Damon, though no one knows it's Damon yet because he hasn't technically shown up, and ends up in hospital. Yeah, the first time she's attacked, right? She ends up in hospital because I'm trying to remember the order because Vicky's attacked twice, if I remember.
Yeah, she's
correctly.
attacked at the little woods party they're having.
The bonfire comet shit. Yeah. And she ends up in hospital. Matt, of course, is at the hospital, like falls asleep overnight because he's staying there to watch over his sister. But the first thing that happens with him and Stefan, after him being like, Elena's my friend, I look out for her, so I just want to make sure intentions are good, is that at the hospital, while Matt is watching over Vicky, he's talking to a doctor. Stefan is sneaking in, trying to get to Vicky to like compel the memory of being attacked by a vampire out of her. Doesn't manage to because he's weak from just drinking animal blood. And Matt spots Stefan like flitting through the hospital and confronts him about it later and was like, what were you doing? Why were you acting all weird at the
When
hospital?
Stefan
dude?
gets away by diving out of an open window, I guess.
Exactly that. And so he's just on the back foot about Stefan because Stefan's acting so weird. But that evening after Vicky's discharged from the hospital and Damon has her on the roof and is like juggling her life to mess with Stefan, I believe that's when Stefan brings her back and he and Matt have a little moment, Matt being like, okay, I can at least trust that your intentions are good because you brought back this one person I care about. Like, I guess we're fine now, you know?
Yeah.
And also starts to like Stefan after he joins the football team, so that's good.
Much to Tyler's chagrin. But before Stefan compels Vicky the first time, when she's in the hospital and she wakes up, she does briefly mention that a vampire attacked her, which is what Matt then tells Elena when she's doing her snooping, her investigating, because she doesn't yet know the truth that's happening around her. He's like, she said it was a vampire that attacked her. And it's like, oh, that's weird. But that plants the seed.
Sorry. It's just, you're so good at impressions. That was truly just Matt coming out. He said it was a vampire. I forgot to say, the ultimate himbo, by the way, Matt Donovan, needs the whole trifecta. We spoke about himbos so long ago. It was episode 2 of the podcast, talking about Anna Chu and her pseudo-himbos, Matt being the only actual himbo in this show. But alas. Right, after that is him getting on Tyler's case finally when Tyler's trying to be all show-offy and duty and like trying to mess with Stefan. And Matt like vocally curtailing him, never physically doing anything, which, you know, you can read that either way of like, okay, he's not immediately violent, but it's like, you've got to get your bro at some point, right? That's the critique you can level at Matt, is that he lets Tyler get away with a lot. That is all happening. I don't think there's anything between that and when Vicky dies, right?
I don't think so.
Truly.
Yeah,
It's him having to slowly get over Elena now that Elena and Stefan are officially dating.
When does Caroline get drunk and need to be taken home?
That is episode like 6 or 7, because it's post the Damon stuff and she's on a kind of curve down from that because she doesn't remember it because it's been compelled away, but she still has all the feelings of it. On the night that Vicky dies, the night or the night after, is the night that Logan is also killed. And there are cops out and about doing copy things at Sheriff Forbes' behest.
When you said death, you meant her human death.
I meant her human death.
Okay.
Which thereafter spirals into her disappearance.
Okay.
Caroline is drunk after some sort of event and sort of in her feelings. What is the thing she asked Matt? Am I a shallow person? Is that the thing she says? And Matt's like,
oh
is this a
yes,
trick
because that's what Damon says to her when he basically fires her as his minion, which is the same night that I think they're at the Lockwood house looking for something pertaining to the device or the compass or whatever it is.
It's gotta be what's her face's pendant, Emily's pendant.
Emily's necklace. Okay.
So she's down and out because Damon is actual scum. And so she slides in drunk into his booth while he's sitting with some other school people, I think, who have no names. And he immediately tells the bartender to get the lady a coffee or a water or something to sober her up because she's in a bad way. After that, when she's clear she's not going to recover, he then scoops her up because she's like falling into him and takes her outside. They walk right past the sheriff, which he was attempting not to do. And he's like, it's okay, I'll take her home, it's fine. And the sheriff's like, oh God, my damn kid. And she's like, okay, Matt, you're the most trustworthy kid in this town. Please go ahead and drive my daughter home. And he piles her into his truck and drives her back to her house. And he gets her into bed, tucks her in, and then is about to leave. And Caroline's like, no, please stay. I think she reaches out and grabs his hand. And she might say because she doesn't want to be alone.
Yeah.
And so then Matt stays and tucks into bed with her. And it's the first, really intimate moment between them, sort of out of nowhere for the viewer and for them, as they acknowledge thereafter, because it puts them in a bit of a weird position. Caroline after that.
As a fellow yapper, I understand the need to sort out your thoughts and feelings by talking about them. So she goes to Matt and is like, hey, things have been awkward. We had a moment. There was cuddling. She says that, so that's canon. And now you've been like avoiding me. I say hey, and you're like, hey.
Hey.
And it's like, really? Is that all I get? And then Matt is like, actually saying hey and hey is kind of the greeting we've done for like the last 15
Since
years
we were
of knowing
like,
each
yeah,
other.
5.
So if things are awkward, it's because you're making them awkward. I haven't done anything to you.
and this is my first theory, right, about the Matt. This is the first pin we're putting on the corkboard about Matt, because I don't think it has anything to do with Matt and Tyler as a pair, which we always criticize Matt for. So that's not a pin I'm putting on the board. I think this is the first one, is that I believe and I assume that people view Matt as a... What's the word? What would the word be that you could use to describe a character who, or a person who is not engaging emotionally with someone who is meant to be like someone they care about, right? Whatever the word for that is.
One word? I don't know.
I guess that's not necessary. I guess I've described what I'm trying to describe. Is that I think people read of this moment and of a couple other moments in the season between Matt and Caroline a lack of care from Matt, when, in my opinion, whenever these two have an interaction, it's that Matt's emotional, like, state, big breadth of emotion, very simple designations of emotions, right? Like, Matt's not thinking about a lot too hard, is the thing. And so Caroline, who, as you say, and as we both often do, overthinks a lot of things. And so the connection there is quite often just like bypassing when they communicate, because they're so different in the way they deal with their emotions. Because after that, this is the thing too, Matt will just say something and it sounds so wildly out of pocket, but I'm like, I think I get what he's saying. And that is not something that you need to accept from somebody, right? We all need to learn how to communicate ourselves better. But in the culmination of this episode where Caroline calls him out and is like, hey, we need to talk about whatever it is that's going on here. He's like, yeah, I stayed that night because I was sad for you. It's like, oh, great. So I'm sad now. I'm pitiable. He's like, no, you were alone. And that made me sad because I know how that feels. I'm also often alone. My parents are who knows where. Vicky is missing now, as far as I've been told, because the Mystic Falls gang is beginning their antics of disappearing a person and leaving some breadcrumbs about where they've gone to. So he thinks Vicky's abandoned him. He's like, it's just me here, so I understand you. And he was like, we cuddled, and I thought it was nice. And it's like, okay, Maddie, maybe you should express that. Usually people want to hear how you feel. That's the thing I'll say, is that, like, you've got to express yourself a bit more, buddy. You can't just go through life, like, head empty. Well, the thing is, he can, because he does. His head is empty a lot of the time.
I think later on, he does admit that, okay, yes, I was a little bit like, weirded out by by the level of closeness that we were able to have with each other, because it's not something we've had before. So he's not entirely oblivious.
So far, I think the worst aspect of his interactions with people is being like a stupid teenage boy.
Yeah.
You know? That's about as much as you could level against Matt, because he is that sometimes.
But I'm like, Matt, as a fellow overthinker, I have to defend Caroline. Don't gaslight her into thinking it's all in her head.
It's like, if you felt something, say so. You can't say it wasn't that thing. Come on, my guy.
He truly said, it's not that deep. I don't know why you're making mountains out of molehills.
Actually.
And left her thinking, okay, so I'm crazy.
You can't do that. Confront your emotion, buddy. And hey, he confronts it within the same episode, so by God, a win.
Yeah.
They, acknowledge their feelings for each other, and a thing starts up, and it builds slowly, and it has its hurdles, a lot of them in that same vein of, like, Caroline is very in touch, rightly so, with her emotions and with her thoughts and with, like, what she wants, but there are a lot of expectations that she's placing very early on the relationship that Matt seems unready for because he's still getting over Elena. And that becomes a big point of conflict in the budding relationship, both because of Matt, like, really needing to get over Elena and Caroline having this specific envy where it pertains to Elena. It's the worst story.
Caroline also needing to get over Elena in a different way.
Exactly. It's such a potent combination. But Matt starts working at the Grill because, again, his sister has seemingly abandoned him, and now it's his job to take up all the bills and the slack in the house that he lives alone in, that he's now paying off, maybe? Scary. He's 16, 17.
I'm
Anyway.
hoping that at least the house is paid off, or at least Kelly's bank account is linked to those bills, wherever the hell she is.
Maybe. We hope and pray. So he takes over Vicky's old job to start making money, and Caroline does not respond well to this. Not intentionally. Caroline's talking about a different individual who has come back post high school to work as a bartender and says something really rough about him, calls him a washed up football player now working as a bartender. And it's like, Caroline, your current beau is most likely on that trajectory given his standings. So Matt is, of course, quite upset by that.
And understandable.
And it really reminds you.
It's like, check your privilege, Miss Forbes. I know you're only 17, but your classism is showing.
You've gotta be aware of the lack of class mobility, my dear. Like, there's not a lot of options for, like, an average school student who is decent at sports, but not in an area, like, key enough to get out because of that, you know?
Yeah, that one horse town, that one pony town, as Klaus calls it. He's not gonna get scouted. By who?
No. There's no High School Musical 3 saving him from this town, unfortunately. He vocalizes his offense. Later, she says, okay, I am sorry about that thing. But on the overall, what the hell's going on here? Because I'm ready to sprint and you're still lagging. And Matt says something that implies that he's kind of thought ahead of how this is going to work out and decided in his mind that, like, maybe they're not that compatible. And Caroline gets upset because it's like, well, I guess if you've made that decision all on your own, then why even bother? Which is a very valid critique. And she runs out. He then is like, well, this has been a screw up. So we're dropping everything and we're running out after Caroline. Drives after her because she's already, like, gone all the way down the road and stops on the street corner where she's gotten to. Immediately hops out, walks around the van, marches to her and kisses her. And that's, you know, that's gonna seal the deal. Usually.
The music
like,
swells.
Hey, if you
everyone claps.
Everyone clapped. And I've said it before, I think when we were discussing the Caroline episode, is that, like, being a character who isn't the best at communicating himself vocally, communicating yourself, at least for this moment, with that physical act is like, no, I'm in this, right? I'm into you and I want to make this work. Let me do this big gesture. And then we work on things. And that's lovely. After that, they're officially together. And this...
Our favorite era.
Our favorite era. This is sort of in the middle to back half of the show when Kelly Donovan returns.
Oh wait,
to town.
I thought we were going to discuss the double date.
The double date is after that.
Oh, okay.
Would you believe it? It's Kelly first and then it's the double date.
It's
a
both
good
bad
old wombo
eras.
combo for poor Caroline.
Oh, Matthew, you were irritating me in the Kelly era. I can't lie. I was like, what?
No, true. And today we will get into it. So, Kelly comes back. Kelly immediately does not like Caroline. For reasons that are not explained at first, and that Fadzai you have rationalized later, but I'm still like, girl, get over yourself.
They're not good reasons, but they are her reasons.
But they're reasons that make sense, and that's what matters. She doesn't like Caroline at all. She's unimpressed. She's always comparing her to Elena, Caroline's worst fear.
And the worst thing is, she doesn't even try to hide it. It's not passive aggression. It's just aggression. It's disdain.
Just flat out saying it.
It's Caroline being polite and trying to be like, you know what? I'm not stupid. I'm not blind. I can see this woman doesn't like me. Let me try to be respectful and polite polite and kind and say, "Hi, Mrs. Donovan," greet you when I walk into a room and you're there, ask you how your day's being. Kelly making eye contact, acknowledging that she has heard and seen Caroline, ignoring her, and then turning to Elena on the other side of the room and being like, "Elena, honey, my favorite person in the world. How are you? My son's still not getting over how you broke his heart."
Oh, God.
But look, you found yourself a blonde rebound. Good for you, I guess, Matt. And it's like, really, Kelly?
Yeah.
And then Matt just standing there like, no thoughts, head empty. I have nothing to say.
So Matt, unfortunately, and this is another pin on the board that we're adding, and this is a pretty big one because I level quite a bit of critique against Matt for this era, is that Matt is a mama's boy, which is not always a bad thing, but when your mom kinda sucks and she's being awful to your girlfriend, Maddie, you've gotta do something. This is crazy. Every time Caroline brings it up, Matt's like, I don't know. She's only got me, and she's my mom, and maybe you could try being nicer. And it's like, Matt, what the hell are you talking about?
Caroline weathers that storm because it takes her a few episodes to bring it up. She takes it in stride and doesn't complain. She goes to see Matt at his house at one point, and before she even enters, Matt is like, "Okay, Caroline's here," and Kelly's like, "Ugh." Matt says, "Be nice, Mom." Like, I'm like that's the most effort he makes. He says, "Be nice." Caroline comes in and says, "Hi, Mrs. Donovan." She gets up and walks out of the room saying, "I'm going to go shower," or whatever, without saying anything to Caroline. The most she gives Caroline is this like, sort of smile. The smile that the White Lotus season 3, you didn't vote for Trump, right? Sort of smile.
Leslie Bibb just being like, Oh, God. Okay. And so now here's where I'm going to immediately 180 to try and be fair about this. Because as I say, this is maybe of the missteps Matt has, like, top 3. Is this whole situation with Kelly.
What does he say to Caroline when she says, "Listen, I've tried. It's clear your mom doesn't like me.
Right.
I find it hard to get along with people who hate me. I'm just not that evolved." He says something that blames Caroline, and I'm like, huh?
I don't super remember. I just remember him saying you could maybe try to be nicer to her. Is the one thing I remember him saying.
At which
and I
point
was like,
I'm
Matthew,
like,
that's insane.
huh?
Matthew, you're crazy. And so here's the thing I will say on that, is that there is, and once again, we are not doctors here at It Was an Animal Attack. Look to medical professionals to assure you on certain things. But what I will say is there's a dynamic I am aware of and have been aware of for some time. And I mentioned it in the Caroline episode that we'll discuss it when we get to Matt. And it's called, don't freak out, emotional incest or covert incest.
I love it. You're like, don't freak out.
Don't freak out. It's not as bad as you're thinking it is, but it's still bad. It is a dynamic in which there is a family in which there are 2 parents, a child, maybe multiple children, and one parent very suddenly becomes absent. And so what happens as the child grows older and maybe starts to resemble that parent who left, but that's not always a necessary factor, is that the remaining parent, dealing with a lot of problems of their own. They're now raising these children by themselves. They're, holding this family together, dealing with a lot of stress, will turn to the child in order to fulfill their emotional needs and to rely on as a rock and as a cornerstone in a very unhealthy way. And in my opinion, that is the vibes I get from the Kelly-Matt situation, is that Kelly dotes on Matt in such a way. Kelly doesn't mention Vicky really. Offhand, they talk about Vicky having, run off because at this point, they don't know she's dead.
Which she's completely unconcerned with. Matt brings it up when she comes to town and she's like, "Oh, your sister, her."
Right. She's crazy.
She's off
and
somewhere.
that's a whole other thing to consider with the boy-mom aspect of it all. But Matt, who we find by season 8, very much does resemble his dad, but is this masculine child that she has who it can be argued she's using to fill the void of this partner she did have one time long ago. It's like all her emotional energy is being directed to Matt, and so there is a wall being built around Matt and everyone else. And for Matt, who is the child in this dynamic, that causes some difficulty because this has been the dynamic since before his brain was even like partially developed. This has been his state of being. And so to a certain extent, and again, this is not to excuse Matt of all the shit that, you know, he should be checking, but it's like, if we're gonna say Kelly Donovan's too poor for therapy, then the same can be said for Matt Donovan, but alas, is that Matt is in some ways default to side with his mother because that is the person he feels he has to protect and support and take care of before anything else, because that's the way it's been since he was very young.
Yeah.
And that's a thing I want to present as a side pin on this big pin we're placing on the board.
That makes total sense. People do often have blind spots when it comes to their family. And I guess, as you said, she really is all he has at this point because Vicky's gone. He's never known his dad. So by default, she's the favorite parent.
She is the parent.
There's probably a sense of relief that she's back and a fear that if he does rock the boat by standing up for Caroline, he will scare her off and she'll be in the wind again. And who knows when she'll come back.
It's just a very unfortunate family dynamic that usually Matt is at the center of, being the only responsible and sane person, which you simply have to consider within the context of all this other stuff happening. Regardless, not a good look for Matt in the situation between Kelly and Caroline. Defend your girlfriend. I'm sure now that he's 30-something and hopefully has a new partner, well, there's no Kelly to contend with, but I'm sure he does better.
No Kelly to contend. We removed the problem, so now it's not a problem. I'll just like break that generational curse, Matt. But yeah, it's interesting that Matt, who to an extent is a victim of parental abuse, because neglect is also abuse.
Neglect is abuse, is very true.
In his case, the more present parent, ironically, who's doing the neglect, the abuse, is his mother, whereas his bestie Tyler is the victim of abuse from his father, the male parent. And yet both of them, despite clearly being aware of their parents' flaws, there's still that hunger for approval and connection with this failing parent.
Yeah, which, you know, is often the case, unfortunately. What are you going to do? It's still your parent at the end of the day.
Maybe that's even a level that they bonded on, with Matt being like, yeah, my family's broken, my mom is absent, I'm alone. And Tyler being like, well, my family's together and they still suck and I feel alone. And I don't even have a sibling to commiserate with.
Yeah, that's rough, but possibly very true. At this point is when the double date happens, which...
Whose idea was that? Was it Stefan's? Elena's?
It was Caroline's idea. It was Caroline's idea.
I always forget. What do they call it? Impaled by your own sword.
Caroline said, I just think, you know, it'll be good to get all this weirdness out of the way. And to assure Matt, you know, you're with Stefan, he's with me, and there's no problem about it. You know, we just gotta get everyone used to the new normal.
She said, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Unfortunately, she tore off some of the skin with the Band-Aid.
And that's as much as I will critique Caroline in this situation, is that I understand there's a speed you want to move at, girl. You've got to clock the room. You've got to clock the room and be like, if that's not the speed other people are moving at, then I've got to jettison the parachute rather than try and drag everyone forward, right? But she, of course, is also a teenager, so same rules apply.
I mean, in her defense, I think Stefan and Elena were fine.
Matt clearly isn't. But they go on this double date, and as you say, Stefan and Elena, very secure in their relationship. Matt, asterisk, very big asterisk. But the thing that happens on this date is because Elena and Matt have been friends for 15, 16 years, there's a lot of runway of stories to tell as like small talk around an awkward double date. And so they end up driving the conversation to kind of ease the tension and talk about like familiar things. Caroline starts to feel left out because she does not have the same history with either of them that they do with each other. And unrelated to Matt, there's a bit of a confrontation about that in the bathroom that then resolves with everyone moving to a new location. We go from the grill to Stefan's house.
And then it climaxes.
Stefan's like, hey, I've got a party favor. Look at my hot rod. And Matt's like, yeah, cars, bros.
And Caroline's like, ugh, boys and cars.
What is it she says about the size of the car?
She's like, I don't know whether she's talking about that kind of car or cars in general, but she's like, I never liked them. They're too hard to make out in. And then Matt looks at Elena, smirks, and says, we never had trouble.
What?
Which I was like, okay, Matthew. I could say teenage boy until the cows come home about everything else you've done today and being oblivious to the energy you and Elena have been driving all afternoon. But that line.
That's insane.
There's no way you thought that you could take a little jog down memory lane about how you and Elena used to have a fine time making out in your car in front of your current girlfriend. And since Matt has no way of knowing that Stefan is 162, in front of her current boyfriend and think that this is all kosher. I'm like, Matthew, no.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wildly crazy, wildly out of pocket. Maybe the worst thing he's ever said or done, in my opinion. This is where I put the absolute thumbtack on the board. This is the highest point. And we'll leave that for later. This is crazy. And throughout the date, they've been going down memory lane largely to do with their romantic relationship, which is intertwined with their friendships, because that's what happens when you do friends to lovers. And it's awkward. And this moment is the culmination of that, and Caroline storms off, because of course she does. Who wouldn't? Stefan very graciously gives Matt his car for the night to, take Caroline away and, do something special, have some alone time, figure their shit out. Which they do. When they talk, it's Matt basically going, oh, I think he says, did I pass your test? Which is crazy to open with.
Matthew, you are getting a D- in English.
That's what
and going to your teacher and saying, yeah, but I'm gonna pass the year, right? And your teacher's looking at you and going, do you know how the grading system works? Do you know how many letters are before D in the alphabet? I think you're confused.
As I said, this is the craziest, worst thing he may have ever done and ever do in this show. But here's the thing too that he also missteps is that he chooses this moment in which he should very much be in the doghouse to critique Caroline, accurately so, but this is not the time to be leveling critiques, Matthew, because he tells Caroline that, this whole double date, which was her idea, only served to, drive herself up the wall, right? It's made everyone crazy, it's caused all this bullshit, but the last thing he says is that Elena is in my past, ultimately, and in this moment, right now, I am choosing to be with you. I am here with you. Right? It's I drove after you to find you and assure you that we are in this. And, it's not, we're back to normal now, but it seems to assuage Caroline enough to be like, okay, cool. We will be fine after this. And they kiss in the car, which, she said it would be too hard to make out in. Seems to be working out fine for them. It's symbology. You know what I'm saying? As I said, probably the toughest moment to be in Matt's corner at all is this damn episode. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy that he had the wherewithal to know that this is clearly a test.
Yes.
And then still fail so miserably.
What I'm saying, I'm just the worst thing you could say about Matt is he's a dumb teenage boy, because this is some dumb teenage boy shit. It's why wouldn't you try then? You idiot.
Maybe that was him trying, which is scary to think.
The scarier thought is that was his best efforts. So after that, they patch things up, and it seems beyond that they are sort of going strong and going steady. Then we learn that Vicky has died officially because Caroline, on that one rainy day in episode 17, I believe, let the right one in. She gets stranded while she's trying to get to an event that Matt couldn't escort her to because, once again, he has to bust tables at the grill to make money because Kelly has gone. No, Kelly's still here.
Kelly's still here.
Apparently, even while she's here, is not making any money. So that's working.
She's not employed.
So rough. So she gets stranded in the rain. She falls down a hill. It's all, a little contrived, but she finds Vicky's body that has been unearthed by the showers. And she returns with her mom, the sheriff, to come inform the Donovans of this news. Matt is sort of frozen in an emotional stasis for a bit while the fallout of this episode happens.
No.
It's it's Kelly, it's Matt, it's Caroline and Sheriff Forbes, and a little bit later, Mr. Lockwood, for whatever reason, tells Tyler and Jeremy that Vicky's died, even though he just told someone to keep it on lockdown, and then drives them to the Donovan house. So they're also there. Not Mr. Lockwood, he goes off because he's the mayor. Caroline's doing the perfect girlfriend thing, right? She's there making pots of coffee, checking in on everybody, making sure everyone's like taken care of and whatever. And Matt is just like frozen in place, just like not really responding in a very committal way. And then Elena comes by, who's finally heard the news about Vicky's death. Well, heard the news. She was there when Vicky died. But like heard that the Donovans now know she's dead. Comes by, Matt opens the door, immediately collapses into tears, and Elena goes to hug him. And Caroline watches from down the hallway with this like pot of coffee in her hand in anguish. It's so tough. It's so tough.
He was distraught.
He was distraught.
The understanding part of my soul is like, listen, the shock of grief is still reverberating through every fiber in your being. Also, even though this isn't really a Matt thing, but at the end of the day, he is just a cishet man or a cishet boy. Maybe some part of his subconscious is like, I can't break down and cry in front of my new love interest.
In front of my girlfriend.
With whom I was not that close before all of this relationship stuff started. But Elena, who has known me
for 15
in the biblical
years.
sense as well.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to go there. I think it's regardless of that. But fair enough. We'll add it to evidence.
Who has known me deeply and intimately. I see her and the default settings switch on. I can be vulnerable with her. And of course, Elena's not thinking about Caroline drama. She's just thinking, well, I feel like crap because I've known for weeks your sister is dead. And now here you are hurting because you know the truth.
Also, Elena didn't even know Caroline's there. Caroline is very much in the back, in the shadows watching this happen. Elena's on the doorstep. She hasn't even come into the house. The emotional line of that makes sense. It's just very unfortunate given everything that has happened prior.
Yeah.
So, Vicky is found to be dead. And, all that can be said is that at her funeral service, his mother makes out with his minor best friend. And
she gets sloshed.
She gets
Tyler,
so drunk.
Oh, yes, Tyler is drunk because
Tyler's
it was his girlfriend.
also drunk.
He's also mourning because it was his girlfriend. I get it. That's why Tyler's drunk. Shouldn't have been drinking. He's underage.
Well, they let all these children drink because it's a small town and they're all rich. So, this is a cultural systemic issue. And she makes out with that minor. And Matt, who is a minor himself, punches his friend out for kissing his mom.
Well, tries to punch his friend out, gets his ass kicked by Tyler, who I guess is running on untriggered werewolf curse rage.
I guess, yeah.
And then in the aftermath of that, Kelly weeping, apologetic, oh, Maddie, I keep messing up. I'm so sorry. I can be better. And he's like, actually, no, you kind of suck. And I think my life would be better if you just left. Just go. Please just leave.
Which is a very hard moment, but is maybe the best thing Matt could have done for himself. Because even at her best, Kelly was not doing anything for that boy, right? It's like, this is her at her worst, and this is the shit that spiraled out. But at her best, she is a body on the couch, and he is still the child having to work to, take care of himself. It sucks, but sometimes you've got to cut your family off.
Yep.
And he tells her to leave, and she leaves. And it's also fascinating that, she leaves and doesn't come back. Doesn't leave and, try to get her life together so she can be a better parent to her son. She genuinely takes that and just leaves. And that's telling.
She took that get out of jail free card and said, listen, as far as I'm concerned, those were emancipation papers. My son said I can go. My 17-year-old will be fine without me. He told me to leave and I left. That's terrible. What she'd tell the courts if someone reported her to, Child Protection Service.
Who is the courts? Leslie Forbes? What's she gonna do to Kelly?
Leslie Forbes? Also, I'm like, Kelly Donovan, homophobe? Question mark.
There are so few, not even few, I can't think of a single redeeming quality about Kelly Donovan, to be very fair.
She claims the reason she doesn't like Caroline is because she and her mother, which I'm like, okay, you haven't seen Caroline in, I assume, at least a year, but sure. She and her mother have always looked down on the Donovans, and I guess they're uppity because they're wealthy. And I'm like, but Elena's a Gilbert and you love her, so that doesn't seem fair.
Yeah,
I
you
guess
had
because
said because she's friends with her mother who
Yeah.
married into the Gilberts.
Yeah. She's seeing Elena as Elena Summers, not Elena Gilbert.
That's funny. But yeah, that closes out the Kelly and Vicky stuff. And it's like he barely gets to mourn his sister because he's dealing with all this drama, but we move past it.
And then he is pissed at Tyler for basically the rest of the season, and justifiably so.
Absolutely true. Caroline's trying her best to like reconnect them, but first it's the Miss Mystic pageant, which is something else he can't escort her to because he's working. So she's going with the Lockwood cousin. I forget his name. Really sucks that this kid can't even enjoy himself with his friends, can't even take his girlfriend to the cool parade that she wants to be part of. It's very sad.
And how much is he making bussing tables?
It can't be that much. What's minimum wage in Virginia? Not a lot in 2009, I'll tell you that much.
I hope they're tipping him well because his sister did just die and his mother left town.
And all of these people have money, frankly. The fact that none of his blue blood friends like decided, hey guys, with our infinite wealth, let's put together like a scholarship fund for Matt and not tell
infinite
him
wealth.
so he can freaking go to school and get out of this town.
I mean, he never seems to be struggling with school fees, so maybe something somewhere dealt with
American
that.
public school is free, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
I think so.
I don't
Public school
know.
specifically.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So he just has to pay for school supplies, groceries,
That's the
electricity bills, water bills.
Right. Clothes. Yeah,
Internet,
everything else other than school fees
data.
is still on the table. To be very clear. This is
Football
not a
equipment.
fix.
I don't know how he finds time to still be the quarterback and stay in shape.
Bless him.
Wild.
Bless him. Free school facilities, I guess. He's there at the Founders Day parade prep when Isabel is making her threats and his arm gets crushed.
Yes.
Because once again, he is an easy target to be threatened.
Isabel, who much like Kelly Donovan, needs to stay away from minors because she describes him as the delicious ex-boyfriend Matt. And I'm like, ma'am, that's your biological daughter's ex. Can you not?
As a minor, please.
I mean, Isabel,
Not that
canonically a
vampire's
predator,
care, I guess. Yeah, true.
picked up a cowboy from a gay rodeo, compelled him
true.
into her slave.
It's very par for the course for Isabel and all these vampires, if we're being real, but we'll move past that. His arm gets all messed up. Caroline's like, we need to get to the hospital, and he's like, fine, you'll drive me. She's like, I didn't bring my car. Tyler, can you drive us? And Matt's like, no, I don't want him to drive.
Which is such a straight man thing to do. Be like, no, I'll sit here with my crushed bones rather than let this person I'm angry at give me a lift. I don't want to owe him jack.
Caroline's like, stop being a meathead. You are injured. You are going to the hospital. An ambulance is not getting here in time. Tyler, you're driving. Let's go. And to his credit, Tyler steps up and moves. And then they move Matthew. But that resolves off screen.
Tyler has been trying to bury the hatchet in the ensuing episodes. And of course, Matt, understandably, does not want to accept that apology. And I don't blame him.
That culminates in like the final episode where it's a lot of that of just like Caroline doing her best to be like, you guys have got to mend things. Like, I've fought with Bonnie and Elena sometimes, and Matt's like, girl, please let me be. And then there is the incident in that final episode with the device. They're prepping the town to kill all the tomb vampires, and Tyler's dad very roughly tries to get him to leave the grill. And Caroline, right up there, first up, is like, hello, what's going on? And Matt very closely second after, being like, okay, well, I mean, we're in a fight, but don't be weird with your son, you weirdo. And then Mayor Lockwood relaxes and they're like, all of you, please go home. So they pile into Tyler's car and he drives them home.
I think it's actually Mayor Lockwood's car. He's like, take my car and leave. And I think that's what
yes.
makes Tyler realize, oh, you're giving me your car? This must be serious. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
that's
go.
crazy. They pile into Mayor Lockwood's car. Tyler's driving them home. And when the device sets off, as we know, Tyler Lockwood's untriggered werewolf hearing catches the signal and drives him a bit off. He starts screaming in intense pain and he veers off the road and the car crashes. Tyler is out. They assume because of injuries and they call the paramedics, but then we see it's because it's affected him supernaturally. So his werewolf eyes appear for like a brief second before they disappear, which is fun. And then once they're paying attention to Tyler and they realize, okay, he's fine, he seems to be responding normally, we turn around and we see Caroline's collapsed. And that's kind of where Matt ends for this season, actually, now that I think about it. I was like building up and I was like, no, that's Matt's last scene.
That is his last scene.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he's never driving the storyline. He's usually secondary in that storyline. Usually to Elena, to Caroline, and even to Tyler.
I will say, though, that he possibly closer to the center of things than Tyler in season 1. Because Tyler, it's mainly...
Which is the weird thing, right?
Yeah. Tyler, it's the Vicky love triangle with Jeremy. It's 2 episodes of him hating Stefan on Matt's behalf. And then as soon as Vicky disappears, Tyler doesn't really have anything to do.
That's true. But ends of season 1, things are solid with Caroline. Things are, I guess, okay with Tyler. Seemingly over Elena, at least, consciously and presently in mind. But Caroline's now unconscious. So that's where we pick up with season 2. With him, as always, being the one in the hospital, sleeping over, making sure everything's okay, waiting for the moment where she wakes up. Damon, as we know, feeds Caroline his vampire blood, and she starts to improve. Then, as Matt starts to visit her, as she's like conscious and is like, starting to speak and like do stuff, Caroline's acting a bit off. We know Catherine has come in the night to smother her with a pillow and has turned her into a vampire. So she is now in transition. Yeah, at this point, she's fed from the nurse, right? By the time Matt sees her for the first time awake, she's already a vampire.
Yeah, I think he saw her right after she was healed with the blood. And then the next time he sees her, she's now transformed, and he opens the curtains and she like vamp speeds to the corner of the room and he's like, huh? How'd you get there? She's like, just close the blinds, please.
Just never understanding what's going on. She gets him to leave and it's just like, just get out, just leave me alone. And then he heads off, very confused. A bad place to start off in this season. They reconvene at the carnival after she has fed on a nurse, managed to patch her up and compel her to forget, and is now like, everything's fine and normal, don't worry about it. Tells him she's been discharged. He's so happy to see her. They're like, okay, we're all good. She starts to wig out again. She's like fidgety and like unfocused and like emotionally volatile, and Matt's like, I don't know what's happening. And he's like, are you trying to be away from me? Do you not want to be with me? And it's like, shit. She leaves the carnival after a bit and goes off to, feed on Carter, and it's a whole, that's a whole thing that then resolves. After she's had her talk with Stefan, and Stefan has managed to get her back to level, like has assured her, hey, you're gonna be okay. He sneaks into her room towards the end of the episode, as he used to in the first season when they were first getting together, and is like, I don't know what's happening with you, and I'm worried because I'm in love with you, and I'm afraid you don't love me anymore. And I've lost so many people already that it's just like, I feel like I'm losing you now. And she's stunned by this because she wasn't expecting him to say that he loves her, and she's already in this emotional spiral. But she kisses him, reassuring him, and then we see her have her moment of like bloodlust, but she manages to tamp it down. And so, again, without knowing, Matt is this source of like comfort and stability for Caroline in this like very bad moment as she comes into the supernatural herself. And, that's lovely. That's nice. It doesn't go up from there a lot, because as Caroline moves through her vampire shit, she's got a daylight ring, she's doing training sessions with Stefan. It's still like touch and go. They're at that, not a pool party. It's like a water hole, forest woods party.
Yeah.
They love to go to that water hole. And Stefan's like, yeah, Caroline, you need to, go hang out with Matt. It'll give you some sense of normalcy now that you're a bit more on the level and we've fed from animals. It's fine now. She goes over there. Matt is this when Amber Bradley comes
Amy Bradley, yes.
Amy Bradley, not Amber Bradley. Who's Amber Bradley?
I think it's Amber Lockwood is the Amber in this show.
I don't know who that is. Amy Bradley, who is very into Matt, is sort of skulking around at this point. This is the actress who plays Vicky in The Good Place. She's such a delight and I love her. She's very into Matt. She's sticking around him. She's doing the ha 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 ha. And Matt seemingly has no idea that's happening. Genuinely this time. It's not like oh, I'm just trying not to. I pretend I do not see it. He genuinely doesn't realize Amy's super into him. Caroline, eagle-eyed, is laser focused on this girl and is like, hey, can you actually go do something else? Thanks, bye. Is this when she sends her off to Tyler?
She says, go flirt with someone else's boyfriend. And I guess the compulsion was vague enough that she went to go flirt with Tyler, even though he's not actually someone else's boyfriend, so...
He was someone's boyfriend at some point, I guess. I guess that's fine. She was thinking about Vicky, who just died, you know?
Amber Bradley is the woman who Stefan almost ate. He spent the whole afternoon debating over whether or not to eat her.
There you go.
Wild that she and Amy have the same surname. Amber is white.
Unrelated. And I'll tell you what, Amber gets a better run than Amy does. It sucks, but it's true.
Oof.
Yeah, she sends Amy off. Matt gets pissed because he's not aware that compulsion is happening. He's just seen Caroline being really rude to one of his friends and is like, are we still on like some weird possessive bullshit? I just told you yesterday I love you. Why do you think Amy Bradley is a problem? You're being rude to that random girl. It comes back to, you know, Caroline's insecurities, where it's like, okay, I've tried to reassure you. I've told you I'm in love with you. What else could I possibly do? That becomes the conflict for this episode. Caroline's like, no, it's okay. I don't need you to tell me anything else. There's not going to be any more drama. I'm not the drama girlfriend. We're fine. And so then they kiss. And they go off into the woods to make out. And then Matt gets cut on like a tree or something and starts bleeding. And then Caroline loses control. And Stefan has to come in and tear her off Matt as she starts to chomp down on him. And then... A werewolf
shows up.
Crazy.
I think Matt is unconscious at that point.
Yeah, yes. But then after the fact, because Tyler comes and saves him from the werewolf, it's because it's Mason, his uncle, who he convinces to head off. Caroline then compels Matt to forget all of that. Stefan teaches her how to like control her compulsion properly. So that happens.
Is that when they break up?
Yeah, Caroline realizing that this is too dangerous to be this close to Matt, she finds Amy chatting him up at the grill again, and she's like, yeah, exactly what I thought. And you get out of here, you short bitch. I don't give a shit what you want. And Matt's like, we just spoke about this. This is crazy. And Caroline's like, yeah, I'm crazy and insecure and drama. So we might as well just break up. And Matt's like, okay, I guess.
She did it convincingly. She was like, listen, if I'm going to do something, it has to be in character. I can't suddenly be someone else.
Ugh. It sucks. But it's for his own safety. So she breaks up with him. He's got no idea.
And that was sort of what he was doing at the beginning of this season, being a part of the Caroline arc.
Pretty much.
Her transition into vampirism.
Yep.
His next role is as a pawn.
Pretty much. Next is Masquerade.
An ingredient.
He is an ingredient in Catherine's brilliant masquerade plan, in which he is the backup to the sleeper agent. He's the backup sleeper agent.
No, he's the plan
He's
A.
the main sleeper agent. Yes.
Because we see Catherine talking to him and thirsting after him. The first time she meets him, she pretends to be Elena. She's like, oh, his eyes are so blue. When she sees him at the party, she's like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to fight with Tyler Lockwood, and I'm not going to back down till he kills me. And she's like, ugh, you're so hot. Now go away.
And that's something we have in common with the Predator Catherine Pierce. Is that
a wild sentence? If ever there was one.
Is that of the many standard hotties in the CW show, as we know, Matt is a forgotten sleeper hit, as the kids say. Do the kids still say that? I don't know. Matt is a very handsome guy. I think it's the issue that you're describing, where it's because he's nice and kind and usually dependable, is that he gets like lost in that sauce. He's not like incredibly poetic and romantic like Stefan. He's not like edgy and like pushy and in your face as Damon. He's not as what would you describe of Tyler in terms of Tyler's appeal?
Tyler's the hothead who you get to say, baby, this isn't you, and calm him down, and you fixed him.
That's the Tyler appeal, exactly. And then the many British men who show up in this show sometimes. who are just hot by default for being British, I guess. Matt really like falls through the cracks in terms of like, hey, here's a really like ripped, handsome CW hottie. And, you know, we like to remember that here at It Was an Animal Attack.
And even Jeremy, who has his hunter glow up and gets absolutely jacked, and then they give him all these shirtless scenes and he's showing off his new superhuman abilities. So he even gets that time in the limelight.
Not the one I think of. Rick, who's got the slightly older guy, like more hair on his body than all of the other men combined. It's like,
Actually, that's true.
That's the appeal of Rick. You know, everybody's got their thing and Matt gets forgotten. It's a shame. But yes, Catherine has him compelled to attack Tyler and provoke him to the point of killing Matt in a scuffle so that he can turn into a werewolf.
Which is pretty easy because Tyler has the untriggered werewolf rage, so he's easy to set off.
So Matt starts that fight with him and they start all out brawling
He
in the
says
middle of
such
this
horrible
masquerade
things, and
ball.
I'm like, I don't think Catherine has been spying on this group enough to have fed you these lines. I think she gave you a job and you said, I'm going to work with what I have. Okay, I'm going to make fun of your recently deceased father, who I know abused you. I'm going to pour liquor on his picture and be like, haha, let's give your dad a drink. And when Tyler understandably is like, dude, what the hell? You've never been a douche. I'm going to be like, haha, remember how your dad used to smack you around all the time? Isn't that hilarious?
And may I say, Your Honor, that's why the scene works, because it's so wildly out of character for Matt to be saying any of that shit.
Oh, gosh.
But he does, and they fight, and Caroline, super strong, glamazon, graceful, towering over these men in her 6-inch heels, pulls them apart with ease, knocks Matt out with a simple elbow. It's such a shame. He gets beat up so much, and he doesn't remember anything. But after sleeper agent Sarah comes in and tries to hurt Tyler and he accidentally kills her and turns into a werewolf, and then Caroline calls his mother in and they cover it up and then they go away, she goes back to Matt, who has no idea why he's done this, but remembers that he did and feels awful about it.
Gosh, I think this was the episode that I started watching, because I always say I came during the Tyler's just recently triggered his werewolf curse era.
Yes.
So my intro to Matt is Matt just coming to Tyler being like, man, I'm really sorry about the other night. I don't know what was going on. I was drunk. And Tyler being like, no, it's fine. When I then saw that scene in context, I was like, oh, this is horrible.
What is this, honey? Oh my god.
Tyler doesn't even know that Matt was compelled, I guess, until later on when they managed to have such a discussion at the end of the season or whatever, or whenever everyone is now in the know about all the sins of Catherine Pierce. But Tyler, you did make out with his mom at his sister's funeral, and then you beat him up.
You know,
I mean...
And that's a boon for Tyler, I'll say, in terms of his growth by the time 2X7 rolls around, is that he, knowing nothing of why it happened, just goes, it's cool, man. I probably deserved it at some point. We're good. It's just like, okay, Tyler, hell yeah. Our boys are growing.
Points for Tyler.
Then Caroline and Matt are in this flux point where Caroline's now like going, I know I broke up with Matt for his own good, but I kind of want him back. And she has that chat with Jenna and Elena when they hang out because she's got Rick problems. And Jenna says the most adult thing that anyone says in this show. And it's just like, just tell him how you feel. Like, this is stupid to be playing games and talking in circles. Just go to him and talk to him and sort your shit out.
Is this after he now suspects that she and Tyler have something on the down low?
This is when she sings Eternal Flame. Is that what it is that she sings at the grill?
I thought she sings Eternal Flame, and then immediately Jonas Martin comes in and attacks, and that's when he sees her vampire face.
That's correct.
Is that not after Tyler has left town?
I don't think so. No, you're right.
Yes, because first
Hold
it's the budding Tyler and Caroline friendship.
Yes, Caroline's been happening in the interim.
Yes, because truly after Masquerade, Matt just isn't around. He
Matt
shows up to
disappears.
apologize. He shows up to apologize to Tyler, and then he's like, "Listen, you and Caroline have been very buddy. Like, something seems to be going on here." And Tyler's like, no, man, nothing's going on. He's like, listen, don't lie to me, dude. Like, and he asks Caroline the same thing, and she's like, no, what? No. And he's like,
Why would you say that?
Caroline and Tyler have their drama because of Jules and Brady's pack. And when Tyler leaves town, with Caroline hating him at that point, he goes to Matt and he's like, listen, nothing was going on. She was helping me through something, but I did catch feelings for her. However, she's very much in love with you, so please be good to her. I'm leaving now. Bye-bye. And that's where that is left.
God, truly just because Matt disappeared, I forgot about all of that. What a disservice. What a shame. But yes, all of that happens, and then the Jenna stuff happens, and then Caroline goes to the grill with her friends, sings Eternal Flame
We love
in
it.
dedication to Matt while he's busting at the grill. It's like, okay. And then he really appreciates this and he gets on stage and they start kissing and it's very cute. And then they move that to the bathroom because it starts getting hot and heavy. Can't stop.
Elena walks in on them and I'm like, look at the growth. Look at where we've come. Look at how far we've come. There's no more insecurity. No more,
No more
awkwardness.
killing the game. She's like, ooh, okay, cute. Close the door. And then Jonas Martin attacks. Absolute chaos. Caroline tries to fight, but Jonas has magic.
Does Jonas magically attack Matt, or does he just fully stab him in the neck with a bottle when Matt tries to defend Caroline?
He magically attacks Caroline the vampire, then grabs a bottle from the counter, smashes it, and stabs it into Matt's neck, the human.
It's
Jonas
because
in
I think
this
it's because Matt saw Caroline being hurt and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna come defend my lady," and then Jonas was like, "Well, that's your decision. I guess you're dying too."
I guess you're dying today. I truly believe this scene of Jonas Martin was driven up to like a ludicrous 11 so that we'd feel fine in killing him off. Because then Catherine rolls up and then kills this like one black witch in a season of nothing for black people. And we feel okay about it. I'm like, why would he do that to this kid who's not even in the Mystic Falls group yet, right? He knows
He
nothing.
fully just attacks the whole bar, and I'm like, okay, I guess witch secrecy be damned.
I guess. Why not? It's like you could tap him on the forehead and he'd fall down asleep. I've seen witches do that. Whatever. It's fine.
And Jonas is quite a powerful witch.
Jonas needs to die. Sorry. That's why they flambéed Luca as well.
Caroline has to heal Matt from his neck injury. She has a brief moment of, I'm going to lose control, but she pushes it down. She feeds him her blood, which obviously she has to make the vampire face to do so. And he's like, what the hell? And I guess he passes out because then he wakes up back home. Is it his home or her home? At someone's home.
I think it's her home. I think it's her bed. She takes this opportunity to be like, you know what? This is the time I come clean. This is the time I tell you, actually, here's what I am. Here's the truth of all of me. If we're going to be together, then I need to be completely honest. And Matt does not react well.
Oof. He's
Because
like, vampire?
as you said,
Did you say vampire?
because the last thing I heard about vampires was when my sister was attacked in the woods, and now she's dead. So what are you telling me, Caroline?
I remember he's like, oh my God, Vicky, I thought she was tripping. Which I was like, no, he's not using AAVE. He means tripping as in like on drugs.
He means drugs. But that's where that comes from. That's the origin of tripping.
Yeah.
Tripping, so to speak, as though you were on drugs. But yeah, and he's not reacting well at all.
Oh, it's a bad scene. He like grabs her forcefully. He's like, what did you do to my sister? And I was like, oh, no, Matt, calm down. Wait, it's not what you think.
But what else is he supposed to think, right? Because she's saying, I'm a vampire. He doesn't know there are other vampires. He doesn't know this is a widespread thing. Nobody has told this boy anything that's going on. And it's my constant diatribe with this show and with superhero shows. If you don't tell your loved ones the truth of what's happening, it only puts them in more danger. I've said it once. I'll say it once, and I've said it again. Now, this bit is the bit I don't super remember because Matt gets away somehow, right?
I guess the
And then it's a whole
I
rigmarole.
don't think we see that. The conversation ends. I'm sure the next time we see Caroline, she explains how it is that scene ended and
On
he
the
left.
phone.
Because she's speaking
Yes,
to...
she says her mom came back
Oh,
and she
okay.
couldn't do it, and then
Okay.
Matt got away. That's what it was.
Yes, and she's
And
upset
so
about
what's her
this coming out didn't work out the way I wanted it to, yada yada yada. The next time she sees Matt,
Hey, calling all vampires, we need to find him so I can figure out whether I'm compelling him or not. But like either way, I need to talk talk to him.
Before she sees Matt again, Matt goes to Sheriff Forbes at her house, I think? Or is it just in public?
It's like out in public by her police cruiser. I know, because when he gets hostile, she very easily flips him around and pins him against the car.
Crazy, but he's grieving and he's probably reeling from this sudden revelation. He's like, "Hey, Sheriff Forbes,
Yeah, he's not actually
I want to
trying
know
to hurt
about
him."
how my sister was killed by a vampire and you covered it up." And she's like, "What? I didn't do that."
What do you mean? Everyone gaslighting this kid.
He gets forceful with a cop, which is crazy to do, but he is a blonde white person, so I guess if anyone...
In a southern town, it's the safest thing you could do.
And she manhandles him. She gets him into like an arm hold, puts him onto like the hood of a car, and she's like, "Matt, calm down."
We don't see a lot of that conversation.
Yeah, that happens
But when he
off-screen.
comes back to Caroline, he's then like, "Okay, you're a vampire."
He goes to her and he's like, "Listen, I'm here to listen. Tell me everything." Tape
And she
recorder
tells
sitting
him.
in his pocket.
Right. Tells about all the friends and everything that the Mystic Falls gang has been up to so far. And he's like, "Actually, you know what? I don't want to know about any of this. I like, congrats to you and your drag, but I want nothing to do with this. Make me forget like you've made me forget in the past. Just completely. I don't care that you're a vampire. I don't care that Tyler's a werewolf. Wipe it out of my mind."
And she's like, "No, Matt, I don't want the lies anymore. You know, I want us to be open." And he's like, "No, Caroline, please make me forget, because honestly, I don't want to look at you and see what I'm seeing right now." Which was like, damn. Ooh.
Rough. So she does. She compels it all away from him. And then later, when he hops into a car with Sheriff Forbes and says that Vervain stuff you gave me actually worked, I remember everything, we realize that this is a ploy because Sheriff Forbes has now hired Matt to be a sleeper agent for her. This is a second sleeper agent era. He's now going to be her spy into the ongoings that the Mystic Falls gang is up to, and her daughter, who she's now learned is a vampire.
And it's so sad because the last thing he says to Sheriff Forbes in that episode of Caroline is, "I feel like she died." And then Sheriff Forbes starts crying and is like, "She did."
She did.
And the two of them sit there, I guess, mourning Caroline, who they now think is a demon, a la the mechanics of vampirism in Buffy.
Exactly. We've spoken about this before, where it's like that may very well be what she believes, that Caroline is dead and something has taken over her body now. And it's like, no, it's still her. And in fact, as Matt begins to pose as a, very successfully might I add, as a now compelled, clean, ready to go boyfriend, as she's hanging out with Caroline, we cut to interactions with Sheriff Forbes where Matt says, "It's easy. I thought it would be hard to like be this faux spy, but it's pretty simple because she's still Caroline, seemingly. Like, she's acting like herself, she's talking like herself, she cares about the same things she always has. Like, it's just natural to me." And she's like, "But she's not. She's a vampire now. Don't be fooled." And it's like, I don't know, girl. I think your info might be off.
And I think at a certain point, Matt is like, "So what are you waiting for? If she's so evil and monstrous,
Yes.
why am I doing this?" And she's like, no, I need to know more. I first need to figure out. And I'm like, "Liz, you are stalling. Because you already know the Salvatores are vampires. You know Elena is mixed up in this. What are you waiting for?"
Which I don't remember if she answers, but it can't have been a solid one. They do the decade dance. It's lovely. There's plans going on. And Matt's like, "Hey, where's everybody going?" Now suspicious. And Caroline's, "Don't worry about it. Let's just dance." And he's like, "Yeah, sure. If we're dancing here, Caroline." And then they dance. And it's like, oh boy.
They go dressed. I think he's supposed to be JFK and she's Jackie O.
That is very true and exactly right.
And I'm like, it's supposed to just be a decade dance where you just go in fashion from the era. But of course, Caroline was like, "No, we have to be actual people. Historical figures."
Theme, history. We're going all out. And they did look very cute. I love that image of them together. I think I'm going to reuse it for the Matt tweet. But on the last day, which I think is like episode 20, which is when, just after Caroline and Tyler have been kidnapped for sacrifice purposes, Matt has decided, actually, this is ridiculous. Like, seemingly, Caroline and all my friends, despite, a bunch of them being vampires, are just like really chill. And like, I think I'm just gonna tell her. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna figure it out. In some situation, he ends up with a gun, right? And is chasing after Damon. That's what I remember from
I actually
that
don't. I
episode where
truly
Damon does the
can't
rescue.
remember how he ends up there because Damon goes to free Caroline and Tyler,
And
not
runs
because he particularly
into
cares
Matt.
about them, but to delay Klaus's plans. Well, he gets attacked by Maddox,
Yes,
who is of
and
course guarding them,
Matt shoots
and then Matt
Maddox,
saves him by shooting Maddox.
which is crazy, right? Matt has killed now.
Matt's first kill is a powerful warlock. I mean,
Just
you know,
shot
kudos
from
to
the
him.
distance with his rifle, and it's like, okay, Matt, pop off. And this, here's what I'll say, is a missed opportunity, and it was a missed opportunity I mentioned of Elena, but also of Matt, is that like they don't go, oh, he's good with a weapon, he's very strong. Let's train this kid up. We've got people who have like hunter skills. Let's get our humans like trained up to at least somewhat defend themselves.
Well, they do it later in a way we don't really like.
Exactly. But it's an ensemble cast and there's not a lot of time for the Matts and the Tylers
Yeah.
of this cast. I get it.
Yeah. So I think Damon just knocks him out. He goes into the cellar to free Caroline. He tells Caroline, you know, your boyfriend is up there with a gun that has wooden bullets in it. And Caroline's like, what? No, I compelled him to forget all that. And Damon's like, wow.
Well, guess not. And I truly couldn't tell you where you got that gun. I guess from Sheriff Forbes. Maybe he snatched it.
Maybe.
Where did Matt get a wooden bullet rifle? Fascinating.
And then I guess at some point he regains consciousness because Tyler starts to turn once they're outside again.
Yes. And he watches as Tyler turns into a werewolf, and then him and Caroline have to run off and get into the Lockwood cellar to protect themselves. Once again, with his trusty rifle, shoots Tyler as he's starting to break down the gate. That's something I love about Matt in these last couple episodes.
Caroline's like, no, Matt, it's Tyler. And
like,
Matt's like, he's
absolutely
gonna eat
not.
us.
I'm shooting that yellow belly dog one way or another. I'm not getting chomped down. You think I'm gonna be kibble? No. Shoots Tyler with a gun. It's a wooden gun. It won't kill him.
Yeah. I mean, Silver wouldn't either, because when a werewolf is wounded with silver, it heals.
As they're waiting out the full moon, they have a very somber chat in the cell.
Caroline vamp speeds him back to, I think, her place.
Oh yeah, because then he comes back and then he's collapsed on the front porch. But yeah, basically, this is the moment where for the first time, because Caroline now knows that he's kept it a secret. This is while they're in the cell. She's like, oh, you knew the whole time. And Matt's like, yeah, that you're a vampire and Tyler's a werewolf and all of you have been lying to me for years. Yes, I know. Actually, screw all of you for
He
that.
says, your mom put me on that Vervain stuff. And then she's like, my mom knows? Oh my God, you told her.
It's like, yeah, of course I told her. You're a vampire. I'm scared for my life. I'm now holding a rifle, shooting at my best friend who's turned into a dog. Nothing's normal, Caroline.
Wildly in that scene, when she says, okay, where does that leave us? He says, it leaves us trapped in here trying not to get mauled to death by your friend. And I was
Thank
like,
you.
oh, now Tyler is her friend. Okay.
You know how these things go. Hey, that's your friend.
It's like when parents
'Cause we're in
are
trouble.
it's like when parents are upset at their child and they speak to the other parent, they're like, you won't believe what your son did.
You see what your child is doing. And when they're back at the house, it's either Caroline's house or the Lockwood Manor. But when they're back at whatever house it is, that's when Matt goes, yeah, I guess I know about all this now, but also I am 17, which all of y'all seem to forget about yourselves. But I guess that's, I don't have your lived experience. I have a job. I have school. I've got to pay my way through everything because I don't have a rich family. At this point, I don't have a family at all. It's just
he
me.
mentions it's so sad. Like, it's nice that he's like, listen, I accept you. I guess you are still a good person. I've spent a few days or weeks spying on you. I understand.
Relieved to know.
This is your life now with witches and werewolves and vampires. And then he says, but you know what my life is? My life is a dead sister and an absentee mom and work and school and a bunch of bills to pay. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Reality. It's like y'all have the time to frolic and dance in the supernatural of everything, in the excitement of living in a CW show. I'm in reality. I've got shit to do. And honestly, I stake my flag on this beautiful scene we mentioned in the Caroline episode of like the unintentional like class commentary on the idea of the supernatural. I've said this about something else, Joe, about like historically, I think we were talking about Nosferatu and the occult, and how only rich people have the time and money to make secret societies, right? Because only rich people in that time had the education and the means to do so. It's like when you're poor, your entire day is worried about surviving.
The Hellfire Club.
Right. I don't have time for all this shit. Vampires, werewolves, schmampires, schmerwolves. I gotta worry about my next paycheck. And it's so interesting that, like, Matt, this character that not a lot of people care about, is one of the most interesting commentaries within this CW show. And he says, "Peace be unto you. I've gotta stick to my human life. Love you, care,
Which
but
is-
you got shit going on."
Is funnily enough similar energy to Danny from Teen Wolf. The last time we see him, Danny's like, "Oh no, I've been knew about all the supernatural stuff. I was just like, not my monkeys, not my circus. I have my own things to deal with."
Not my circus. The only difference is Danny was rich, but that is his thesis. He was like, I've got school to worry about. I've got papers to write. What are werewolves to me? Oh,
He was like, "I
Danny.
figured this out on my own off screen because I'm not stupid. I just didn't join the club because I don't want to be in the club."
Y'all needed to form a club to share a collective brain cell. Like, I'm fully developed over here, and I figured this shit out. Matt makes this statement, and Caroline is obviously heartbroken, but she's like, hey, you know what? That makes sense. And that is the official end to their relationship. And that is the last time we see Matt for season 2.
Tim, is he just not in the final episode?
Not really. He might be like bussing at the grill potentially, but he attends Jenna and John's funerals, I believe, but there's not anything super relevant. That's the
Shame.
episode where Damon's dying, right?
Yeah.
And Jeremy gets shot.
Damon's dying. Klaus is
Yeah,
forcing.
he's not even
Stefan
there to carry
drink.
Jeremy. Rick does that.
Yes, Rick does that.
The thing Matt would have been doing, Rick does. So it's like, no, I don't think he's super relevant in that last episode. But it marks the end of his era of oblivion, I suppose. He now knows about the supernatural. And while he says that he doesn't have time for it, he quite literally has too much else to deal with, that does not mean that the story will not drag him along for better or worse, because ultimately this is his friend group and he is tied to them. The benefit of having a little break between first half and second half is that I had the chance to go back and double check some things. Firstly, the conversation you mentioned that Matt and Sheriff Forbes have about what are you waiting for now that you have all this information about Caroline being a vampire and all these people being vampires is the same conversation on the last day in which he decides he's just going to go off and find Caroline and tell her the truth.
Okay.
So that's the same conversation. He also says in that episode, his conclusion is that, okay, I'm just going to tell Caroline, it seems she's Jill, as are my friends. Damon ultimately is the real issue. He's the problem you should be going after, Sheriff Forbes.
So even as early
Which is
as
the truest thing.
Even as early as season 2, a character like Matt enters the fold and immediately is like, no, Damon's the problem. This being the same season where Tyler enters the fold and Stefan is the one who's like, yeah, let me just go speak to him and explain that it's all good. And Damon's like, no, let's kill him. I think
Right.
it's actually better if he's just dead.
Let it be known, this remains consistent across the board. However, in scrubbing that episode, still no idea where he gets that rifle with wooden bullets. No clue.
It came from the same ethereal plane as the dagger that Klaus uses to dagger Elijah.
It came from
The
Hammerspace.
superpositional shotgun. Yes.
It's not even like Sheriff Forbes doesn't have a pickup truck that he could grab from the back of it. She has a cruiser. So it's like, did you break into... I don't know. But also finally, and I'm sad to say, Matt did not kill Maddox. He did shoot Maddox, which dropped him. And then Damon snapped his neck. Here's what I will say, is that physically Maddox is human, though he may be a witch. So Damon stole that kill from Matthew, actually. And because a bullet to the chest is not likely to have been survived.
Yeah.
By the first white witch, Maddox.
Either way, white on white crime in the town of Mystic Falls.
And on that note, let's jump into season 3. Just to recap, Matt now knows fully about the supernatural. Everyone knows he knows. He's made this decision. I'm gonna steer clear and live my life. He is still working at the grill.
Of course.
Yes, of course. He still needs money, as we know. But at this point, not because he needs money, but because he needs, I don't know, structure, friends, because his guardians have both just died. Jeremy starts working at the grill, which begins an interesting.
We finally
era
get to
that
talk
we
about it, because we didn't discuss it in the Jeremy episode because we kind of hadn't realized at that point.
It was too early in the game. We were too green, a little wet behind the ears. We hadn't fully saturated in the homoerotic energy that exists in the show sometimes. And now I think episode 21, penultimate episode, we're veteran enough to discuss the Matt-Jeremy connection of early season 3 and late season 3, if I remember. So they start working at the grill together. Jeremy's a year younger. Matt has been working at the grill for a while. He has a bit of a mentory thing going on. Elena has asked, I believe, Matt to just keep an eye on him, make sure he's on the straight and narrow, because, Jeremy used to be a problem child.
Which honestly, I'm like, Elena, Jeremy has done nothing in months now. Leave him alone. He's been good ever since you had his memory wiped. Please leave him be. Okay, well, I guess he did try to OD after Anna's death, but that was to become a vampire. That wasn't to actually die.
Well, I'd argue that's the same sphere. So, it's not out of pocket for Elena to be like, both of our guardians just died. I just need to make sure he's okay when I'm not there. But alas, there is an energy. Jeremy's, he's always been that tall, but he's looking at slightly more yoked. They're hiding it under big t-shirts, hoodies, but he is noticeably gaining muscle tone, Mr. Stephen R. McQueen. So there's a bit more of an even footing between these two strapping boys, and it's like, oh, okay. What are these interactions? We're staying, after to do inventory and move stock. And we're having these slightly personal chats. Me about my dead girlfriends, me about my dead sister, and, learning about the supernatural that you've apparently known about, Kid Gilbert. Mm-hmm. It's just an interesting space to be in.
Our older sisters are each other's exes, like this. Not each other's exes. I'm sorry, that was a bad sentence structure. Our respective older sisters are... How do I phrase this without making it sound like the girls dated each other?
I wish the girls dated each other. You've created a reality.
Each of us is the ex-boyfriend of the other one's older sister. There we go.
We've cracked it, which is concerning because, well, never mind. We've discussed it before. It's not that bad. It's fine. It's fine. They're all teenagers. Oh, there's also the fact that, Matt is dealing with the fresh breakup of Caroline. So he's also in a place where he's like, I'm in this breakup and she's hanging out with Tyler and they told me, nothing was going on, but I don't know. And it's like, that sucks, Matt. Do you want to share a beer or something?
I do have to mention that this is in the midst of Bury Me round 1.
That's true.
However, Bonnie is gone for the summer because she's with her dad in universe.
And in fact, Bonnie's not here for the first 3 episodes.
Out of universe. I'm going to be honest and say it's probably because the writers had no idea what to do with her, but I'll give them leeway and say this is the haunted by ex-girlfriends arc, and that unfolds more easily if she's absent while it's happening or while it's starting.
They need time for him to be seeing their apparitions enough times to be like something weird's going on.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, Jeremy at the end of last season died, and then Bonnie used magic in the defiance of her ancestors to raise that white boy from the dead.
Our
and now he's
Asian
seeing
king.
His ex-girlfriends. Because
our 1/16th Asian king.
Like Tyler Lockwood, he is unfortunately a white boy, despite all obvious signs. I know that they get high, the two of them, at Elena's 18th birthday party, which is in this first episode.
Yes.
They both smoke a bowl.
Which is, in my fanfic, I kind of like the dynamic of Matt was told to keep an eye on Jeremy. Finds Jeremy getting high at the party, his like punk kid vibes coming through. Matt, the goody two-shoes, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, responsible boy is like, you know what, actually, I'm gonna cut loose as well. Pass me a joint. And they start to bond.
So they bond over that, and I believe Matt also gets drunk at the party, so then Jeremy has to drive him home. And that's when Jeremy is like, so, I've been seeing your dead sister. A surprise.
Which, such whiplash, because the setup was so, it was like, oh, dude, I'm wasted. And Jeremy being like, listen, I have experience with weed, so I knew not to get, like, sloshed on liquor as well. You aren't doing so good. And Matt like, nah, like, it's fine, I'm gonna go home. Like, no, dude, give me your keys. You're not driving home. And I'm like, in another universe, there would have been, like, a stumble, a tussle, a sudden kiss, or at least like a lingering physical interaction that went on too long for it to be straight. But alas, the CW reminds us that these are all heterosexuals by saying, yeah, so the two women that I previously dated.
Just to remind you, no homo. Remember both girlfriends that I dated 2 seasons ago. They're back as ghosts, bitch. You don't get the gay. Matt starts getting the skinny from Jeremy about the fact that he is seeing Vicky and Anna, and he's putting together that, like, okay, I don't remember a lot because, as you know, I was compelled away of these memories, and I have all this unresolved stuff regarding Vicky and Anna, who was mercilessly and suddenly killed at the end of season 1. So it's like, there's just a lack of closure here.
When Jeremy first tells him that, oh, Vicky's been reaching out to me, Matt is like, is this a joke, man? Like, that's not funny. Like, he looks like he's gonna cry. And I'm like no, Matt, Jeremy would never do that. No.
His sweet little face, his sweet little punum. But yeah, I don't know. I guess just from their worldly knowledge of how this sort of things work, you know, they've seen Poltergeist, they've seen Ghost. They're like, we're gonna go through Vicky's things in an attempt to, like, contact her spirit, right? Because they're like, magic is real, the other side is real, we know this because of Bonnie, and they seem to be trying to tell me something, so let's see if we can try and make a connection.
Well, they know that spirits exist after death. They don't know about the actual other side yet.
Oh yeah, because the other side becomes codified in this season.
Yes.
That's correct. So Matt is like, no, I can't do this. He gets very emotional and he kicks Jeremy out. Well, he doesn't kick Jeremy out, but he's just like, you need to go. And Jeremy's
Which,
like, all right,
I mean, symbolism. If Willow's journey into witchcraft with Tara in season 4 is gay awakening in college, is Jeremy and Matt's journey into seance territory also a gay metaphor?
Seance? An inherently gay act.
Jeremy poses something that sounds insane. Matt is like, upset. Jeremy's like, no, I'm being serious. Matt is like, okay, let's try this. Matt gets cold feet and is like, no, I can't, please leave.
It's like you're rifling through objects trying to gather like an energy. Oh, are you grasping hands as you're holding these objects? Interesting. Okay. So Jeremy leaves, and you brought this out to me, is that Matt comes to Jeremy's doorstep later that night, knocks at the door, Jeremy opens it. He looks very like remorseful, forlorn. He's carrying a 6-pack of beer.
You know?
He's like, I'm sorry about the way that I reacted. It's like,
I got cold feet. This is all new to me. I wasn't wearing Pete Wentz's nail polish in season 1. I'm the quarterback.
Right.
I have more to lose, Jeremy.
I wasn't eased into this as you were. You don't understand the social standing of our school. I've got college to worry.
I've only dated cheerleaders.
The spiritual sequel to But I'm a Cheerleader, But I'm a Quarterback 2025.
Actually, it would work so well. The quarterback, emo kid who's a stoner.
It would
Come on,
kill.
CW.
It would absolutely kill. Yeah, wasn't Clea Duvall the love interest for Natasha Lyonne in that movie? Who was kind of an emo, burnout kind of vibe?
I don't know people's names. Is she in Heroes?
She's Invisigirl from
her. Yes.
Buffy.
Invisible from
Then
Buffy.
yes,
and Lana
then yes,
Winter's
then yes.
first girlfriend in
Yes.
Asylum. She deserved better.
Let's go, lesbians. She very much deserved better. They give it a shot again. I don't think they actually figure anything out. I think beyond just Jeremy just like seeing, Oh, no. This is the scene where Jeremy sees Vicky, but then Anna cuts in and says, don't listen to her. And then Vicky does some dramatic shit and blows up a glass door or something. Vicky in ghost mode as well.
Always causing trouble.
Bless, I love her dearly. After that, this is a couple episodes later. I think this is senior prank night.
Yeah, I don't think we see Matt again until then.
Really, this episode, he's with Bonnie a lot. I remember they're at a pool while they're doing like senior prank stuff. And this is the first time in a little bit that we've seen Matt and Bonnie together, which is a connection that interests me especially. Because it happens every couple seasons. You remember that, well, first of all, those two have also known each other for some time and are friends. But also, they are in an interesting standing in which Bonnie is the only black person in this friend group, and Matt is the poor white kid in this friend group. And so, if this was a show in which race was a thing we cared about or acknowledged, these two would have a lot to talk about and a lot of shared experience in this southern town of Virginia.
And honestly, I mean, we'll delve into it in the Bonnie episode, but I'll just say, if I couldn't have Jeremy,
here we go.
Speaking from Bonnie's point of view now, if I couldn't have Jeremy, I would have much rather Bonnie ended up with Matt, a main character with whom she has had history for several seasons. Not Enzo St. John.
I absolutely would have had, and this is the thing too, is that like, if we are to accept that the locus of this show is to pair a man with one of the girlies, and through that he is elevated, I would love that for Matt.
Yes.
Than one of the many just like really shitty characters who get with these girls. It's like, let Matt do something. If anything, he can occupy a similar space to Jeremy in that he is human. Jeremy was mostly human by the end of that show. He is strong. He can wield a weapon. He can be her honor guard, as she is the town witch. It's a good pair.
And he would have scored a hat trick in terms of the Mystic Falls girls.
So true. So true. Maddie Blue, Unstoppable, the Donovan Pauls. They're chatting about stupid stuff. Senior year, school, our lives and the world has changed. Klaus shows up.
Attention seniors, you have been busted.
You have been busted, seniors. As we know, Klaus kills Tyler to coerce the group to figure out why he can't make hybrids. And so Matt watches his best friend die. And Matt is with Bonnie when she has to run around trying to find a magic fix for Klaus here. He, with the knowledge from what he experienced with Jeremy, is like, wait, Jeremy, who we're unable to find, right? Because Bonnie's like, I'm going to find Jeremy. Jeremy's a medium now.
They wanted to contact the original witch, who they'd been told about at this point. But Jeremy has been kidnapped by Catherine, who is off on a road trip with Damon, trying to figure out where Michael is buried. And they're using her to speak to Anna.
Matt says, okay, we can't get to Jeremy. What do we need? We need a medium. How did Jeremy become a medium? Oh, he died. And you brought him back, Bonnie. So all we need to do is to have me die, and then you'll bring me back. Super chill.
And it's crazy. I don't know where Bonnie is at that point. She's in a different part of the school. He calls her and tells her this over the phone. He's tied some weight. I don't know what you call that thing. The disc thing that you put on the barbell when you're doing bench presses. Gym bros, comment, tell us. We don't know this.
They are weights. They're just weights you put at the
they're just
end
called
of
weights. Okay.
a barbell.
Wow. Sandile knows more than I. I'm just a geek, guys.
Hey, gym bro at your service, baby. I technically have a gym membership.
There we go. More than I've ever had. I play piano, so...
I play guitar. We should start a band. Wait, why haven't we talked about this? Never mind. Okay, go on.
But yeah, he's like tied this weight to his chest, tells Bonnie that, yeah, I'm by the pools. Let's just hope you were better at CPR than I was, which I think is something they'd been discussing earlier in the episode when they were like, oh, we did like a lifeguard something. I sucked at CPR. And then he falls backwards into the pool. And I'm like, wait, you didn't even give Bonnie a chance to be like, maybe this is a bad idea.
I think he misunderstood. I think he thought, well, she's supernatural like the other guys are supernatural. She's going to be able to like sprint at super speed to get to me, right? Because that's what you'll do. I think.
He was watching...
That's what I've heard.
He was watching AHS in the future. Wait, what year is this set in? No, that hadn't come out yet. Okay, I was going to say AHS with the teleportation.
Because 2013's Coven, yeah. He drowns himself in a very tight blue tank. So, serve while you leave this mortal coil. Bonnie sprinting her way back.
How does Bonnie get him
out of the pool?
Yeah.
She just drags him. I don't know how she does that shit.
He's got a weight tied to him and she's just a skinny teenage girl.
I think she manages to remove the weight, but he is still easily twice her weight. So she got some adrenaline strength, lift a car off a baby kind of shit and pulled him out of that pool.
She cast an intense version, a magnified version of the feather floating spell, and she made him lighter.
If the show wanted Bonnie to be really cool, then they would have done that. But alas, she gets him out. And she does CPR because as she tells him over the phone, the witches barely let her do it one time. They're not going to let her resurrect him again. So she has to CPR him back to life, which she does. And Matt, very briefly, is able to see Vicky.
While he's hanging in the balance, while he's in limbo, which... Fine, I'll take it, because if her bringing him back to life with mundane medical means had made him a medium, I was going to be like, what are we doing here?
This is wild.
Because Jeremy was dead. He was clinically dead, his spirit had left his body, and then Bonnie used magic to yank him back into the world of the living. So that makes sense that he then got some...
presumably.
Presumably. She was watching Buffy season 6.
And it's like, okay, it's so many people are clinically dead and then come back. How are they all mediums? Questions. Go back to the Gilbert journal that we did on this. It's mediums.
Georgie.
Hunters. Good old Georgie should be a medium is all I'm saying. And I guess she's a medium for hell. But Vicky feeds some information that they send through, which turns out to be false. But Klaus figures that out. His shit is sorted and Tyler becomes a hybrid. But the important thing for Matt is that for whatever reason, going into the subsequent episodes, he is now just able to see Vicky constantly. He's having conversations with this girl.
Bonnie tells them at the end of this episode that, yeah, that was crazy, Matt, you risking your life like that. And then she says, you're the only one of us who gets to live a normal life. Remember that. And I'm like, now hold on.
Girl.
How am I supposed to live I was here at school trying to do senior prac night and live a normal life. I probably took off work to do this.
And the oldest vampires in the world showed up and killed my best friend. Like, how am I... And I'm glad you said it because this is an incredible thing Matt does for this group, right? For his friends, is he kills himself in order to get the information that they need. He saves the day in some ways. It's really cool. So he starts to see Vicky, which is this very complex emotional thing because she is dead, but it's the first time they've been able to speak in a year. For Matt, it feels good to have her back, even if it's not fully. She's like... just bugging him every now and then. She'll rock up, she'll be in his car and be like, Matt.
Oh, wait, so he does become a medium. So my criticism actually that I held back stands.
Well, this is the thing,
or
right?
becomes a medium just for her.
Is that he specifically sees Vicky, and we were always like, how is he able to do that? Because for all the reasons we just mentioned. But because of, and you said this a while back, because of what we find out about Vicky in this episode, the fact that she was working with or being used by the original witch, quote unquote, our assumption is that it is through her intervention, through all the artificing she was doing from beyond the veil, because clearly she's got some impact because of her necklace that they find in Ghost World that they have to destroy. Is that through her intervention, Matt is able to see Vicky. This connection's made because Vicky's not here just to chill. She has cracked the door open to try and kill Elena.
And then everyone else starts leaking out.
Oh yeah, there's in this episode, and there's the other part of it, right? Is that Vicky tells him when he's like, I can't even touch you. Like this, I'm glad to see you, but this kind of sucks. She's like, what if there's a way you could? And she guides him into creating this little circle and gathering some herbs and things together to do some blood magic. And it's like, Matt's not a witch. So why would that work? And that only lends to the fact that it's the original witch reaching from beyond. Like, Matt made it easier for her to make Vicky corporeal in the world.
I love it.
Connecting Vicky and tying her to his blood because they're siblings. And then she's able to step out into the real world and cause some trouble.
She's like, I'll get a stronger foothold. And then Matt is like, but you'd still be a ghost. And then she says, yeah, in a town full of werewolves, witches, and vampires, I'd fit right in. And for the briefest of episodes, I was like, oh, is Kayla Ewell going to be back? Is she going to be our Danny Phantom on the team? That'd be cool.
That'd be really
She could like walk through walls and turn invisible.
Sadly, as they hug and Matt sobs over being able to hug his sister, she knocks him over the head. Unconscious.
Which I didn't know at the time, but she still had her vampire strength because she did die a vampire.
And when he realizes what's happened, he goes to Bonnie. The thing you should do first when shit like this happens. Bonnie's like, Matt, if she's a ghost and she's walking around physical, she's got to have some tie to this world. And I'm guessing that's you. So you are the only person who can dismiss her. Matt, heartbroken, goes to find Vicky. I believe at this point she is... She's trying to kill Elena, Rick, and Stefan, who are trapped in a car. She's doing some crazy ghost shit. She lights up a cigarette and is about to burn them in the car.
Elena almost gets out of the car, probably because Stefan is saving her, and then Vicky materializes in the car, still unseen to them, and is like holding Elena's leg so she can't escape. But meanwhile, Matt and Bonnie are doing their thing, and Matt is trying to reach out to her, so she disappears from the car and reappears wherever Matt is.
That's right.
She just gets yanked across town.
So Matt's like, you're hurting people, Vic. I can't let you do that. And Vicky's like, I'm sorry. I promised I wouldn't hurt anybody. But please, let me stay. And Matt's like, no, girl, you gotta go. I've gotta say my goodbyes. And it's a double thing here where it's like, I say my goodbyes to you physically, but also, at least in this moment, I get to get some closure and get to say goodbye, as opposed to when you disappeared halfway, not even halfway, a third of the way into season 1 and I never knew what happened. He gets this final goodbye with his sister. And so tragically he dismisses Vicky and she's gone. Couple of episodes go by. Homecoming. Matt has been selected to be Rebecca's date because Rebecca, of the original's fame, has done a little face turn with the Mystic Falls gang after learning that Klaus is the one who killed their mother and is now helping them and Michael, her father, take him down.
I always forget this is where the seed is planted.
Very important, very important. Technically, they do not go to the dance together, so I don't think they meet as yet. I think Rebecca's just been at the school, so they are aware of each other. But as we know, Elena daggers Rebecca because she can't trust her to not mess up the plan, because Klaus, at the end of the day,
a fatal mistake.
I mean,
a literally fatal mistake, because Rebecca ends up hating her for the rest of her time on the show and then killing her.
Her calculus was fair, though. I see where she was going. Instead of going with Rebecca, they send her with Elena, who's like, hey, let's head out. But when they go to the homecoming dance, we learn that this was actually Catherine as part of an orchestrated plan to make sure that things go right at the dance. Catherine then, flips the script because she knows, well, go back to the Klaus episode or the Catherine episode or the Stefan or the Damon. We've discussed this many a times. Matt is nowhere to be seen after that. Oh, briefly, when Tyler is at Klaus's warning, trying to break up the plan that his friends have, and goes to inject Caroline and then tells Matt, hey, you need to get her out of here. So there's that. After that, he's at Caroline's birthday thing, that morose birthday where she realizes she's going to be 17 forever. It's really cute. They do a risky business slide into the hallway with party hats on. And it's just nice that Matt can be one of the girls, he's not afraid to do that. This is his friend group. These are his friends. Elena, Bonnie, Caroline, and himself are just like having a fun time. Lovely, healthy masculinity. But at the party, Matt and Elena have a chat. And this, I think, is where Matt settles into a really strong position in the 3rd season and just in this group. Is that he is the rock for these girls and, Jeremy and whoever else needs it. He is the one who, in the story and also for the story, helps people chat through the more emotional turmoil that they're facing within the narrative. Especially for Elena, who is in a weird space with, the people in her life, right? All the Guardians are dead. Jeremy, her younger brother, has his own stuff going on, and I think at this point she's about to have him be sent away to Colorado. Stefan and her are technically broken up. Damon and her are not together, but there is weirdness. So Matt is the guy right now, which is nice.
Yeah.
Caroline has gone off with Tyler, so they go to try and find her because they're like, she should have been back by now. And then Stefan shows up and knocks Matt out because Stefan's in his revenge era right now. And there's some Klaus bullshit going on. You don't have to worry too much about it. Afterwards, I guess Matt finds Caroline
After she's been bitten.
bitten by Tyler. So he would have to wake up from unconsciousness, find her bitten somewhere in the woods, and then get her and then bring her back home.
And carry her home. He's
Weird night.
he's the boy in the friend group. He's so like he's the muscle. He's always carrying these girls when they've been hurt. Or...
He's got all the bags on the shoulder when the shopping's going on. He's happy to stand by at the fitting room. And he's not concerned with how that appears to other men, because why would you be? You dum-dum.
You know?
Anyway, he brings Caroline home, and then Klaus comes over, and Matt's the one to answer the door and stand sentry and be like, what are you doing here? At the end of that episode is when he and Elena, after the talk they had in the middle of the episode about being stuck, they go to Wickery Bridge. They chat about how different their lives are than when they were, younger and before the show started. And Elena talks about how, in a way, this past version of herself before all the vampire stuff is dead. Matt is like, well then, let's give her a little eulogy just to send her off. And he picks up this cute little yellow flower from the side of the bridge and holds it up.
I know he says, here lies Elena, a fun girlfriend, a good friend. Is this the episode where she apologizes to him for having strung him along when she knew she wanted to end things, or is that later in the season?
That is way later. That is almost the last episode.
Okay.
But he does say those words, and it's this nice tender moment of them returning to a friendship that's sort of been nebulously around in the time of the Salvatores. So a good swing up for Milena? Sure, why not? Caroline's dad dies. Matt is the one they call in, truly like a paratrooper, like a paramedic. Elena calls him in because a Matt hug can fix anything. She's like trying to talk to Caroline about how sad this is and about how, there's nothing you could have done. He made his choices because her dad gets killed, but with vampire blood in his system, and he's super anti-vampire, so he lets himself die. And Matt comes in at the end of that arc and gives Caroline a big old bear hug, and she sobs in his arms, and it's really lovely. In that episode, he also goes home with Elena to make sure that she's safe, and when they get to her home, they find Alaric, who has been stabbed. It's this really fun scene where they show up and it's dark and they can tell something's off, and they immediately go to the kitchen and grab knives, both of them, and I find that so hilarious. These kids are crazy. But they find Alaric injured, and they're starting to figure out that there is a serial killer in town who is targeting founding family town council people. This is the episode where Elena, just as she's calling paramedics, is like, wait, no, let's not call the paramedics. He's already dying. He may not survive, but I know a way he'll definitely survive. I'm supernatural. He's wearing the Gilbert ring. If I kill him, he'll come back. And Matt is like, girl, what are you talking about? That's the most insane shit you've ever said. And Elena's like, no, think about it. It makes sense. And he's like, are you willing to risk it? She's like, I can't lose another guardian. And so Matt is bearing witness as Elena swings down this giant kitchen knife into Alaric and stays with her as they wait for him to come back to life. He's also there either the next episode or the episode after. Rebecca is undaggered at this point because all the originals have come back. He is talking with Elena after Rick has been admitted to hospital. It's late at night. I assume the same night. He heads off afterwards because he's got to get home. And when Elena goes to her car, this is when she's attacked by Rebecca. And for whatever reason, Matt's not there. Later that episode, Rebecca, stunning all the girlies, goes over to Matt at the grill and asks him to escort her to the dance that her family is preparing, the housewarming dance that the Michelsons are putting on. So that's something.
Which Elena's like, she's doing it to get to me, and Rebecca's like, it's not always about you, Elena.
But it's also the thing that makes Caroline go, okay, we're going to this stupid dance. And at the dance...
Why does Matt say yes? Does he give a reason?
Not really, because we don't hear the conversation. We just see Rebecca go over and ask him in the distance. And then we cut to Elena and Caroline realizing what's happening. And Caroline goes, we're going to this stupid dance. And then at the dance, Matt's with Rebecca.
Wild. Okay, Matt.
But pose that question,
he was like, listen,
right?
A town function that I'm not working at, I gotta enjoy myself.
A very pretty girly, an original vampire. In all honesty, how can he say no, right? It's like, if you say no to this 1,000-year-old vampire, what happens? And I think Matt
Under
is smart
duress.
enough to consider at least that.
Oh no, now I'm considering all the power imbalance and like if an immortal vampire asks you on a date, you don't have the power to say no.
I mean, have we seen episode 1 of Interview with the Vampire? Like,
Honestly,
I don't. Like, that's all I'm saying. They go to this dance and there's a cute interaction between Matt and Caroline because they're each there with an original dancing. Well, she's not there with Klaus, but Klaus gets her into a dance. And so then they trade off partners because all the dancers in this town are trade-offy style. She's like, why are you here with Rebecca? And he's like, I don't know, why are you here with Klaus? It's just a really just like, oh God. After that, because Rebecca has asked Matt to this dance in this collective ploy with her and Cole to kill him as revenge on Elena for stabbing her in the back. But when she realizes over the course of the date that Matt has like a base level empathy, kindness, niceness.
When she realizes that Matt is a man who has a modicum of respect for her.
Not even like Matt we like. Matt's really cool. But on display this evening at most is Matt going, hey, are you cold? Here's a jacket. And she's like, I don't get cold. I'm a vampire. And he's like, yeah, but still, take the jacket, girl. And she's like, what? This is an angel descended from the heavens.
And Cole is waiting in the wings like, come on, you said we're going to kill him, come on.
Why do we kill him?
And she's like, yeah, let's go inside.
But it's really just like, what kind of men have you been engaging with, Rebecca? Clearly all your brothers suck. But like in life,
yeah, her brothers all suck, except Finn, I guess, he's been daggered for
who
900
hasn't had the
years.
time to suck in many more ways than one. Like,
Cole gags her by saying, oh, let me guess, he gave you 2 seconds of attention. And I'm like, you know what? Clocking her tea. But honestly, she's this way because the world she's grown up in has made her this way. Cole, you try being a woman 1,000 years ago, living in a Viking town.
1,000 years of waxing and waning dangers and tribulations for women in this world, you bastard. As the only one. Oh, Bex. Oh, Bex, if I had been your writer. So.
If I had been your mother.
I would not want to have been her mother. Her mother's a bit wild. She gets Matt away, and then later, Cole finds him anyway and starts to crush his hand. I believe Damon intercepts, and there's a fight there, but nobody cares about that. At the grill at the end of the episode, Rebecca gives her an apology on behalf of Cole, but Matt's like, I'm seeing what you guys are about, and I don't think I'm really liking this. So
and his
he
hand
heads
is
out.
like in a cast, and I'm like, woman, this is a man who works with his hands. He's a bus boy.
Yep, he needs those.
Rebecca.
After that, it's a lot of plot stuff happening that he's just there for. Abby's involved at this point. She's now a vampire. Rick is a suspect for the murder mystery. Oh, yes. This is when they break into Meredith Fell's home because they think she might be sus.
Shame, he really is just a sidekick this season. I love that for him.
Absolutely. Anytime him and Elena get together and some hijinks ensue, it's some of the funniest shit that has ever happened in this show. They break into this house.
He is the Ron Stoppable to her Kim Possible.
Yes, I like that. But they go there. They're like, we've got definitive proof that it's her who's the killer and she's framing Alaric. Meredith comes home and finds them in her house and is like, hello, 911. Some idiot teenagers are in my home. I'm a regular person who calls cops instead of grabbing knives from the kitchen.
Breaking
And they
into
get
my home,
grabbed by the cops.
going through my files. I am a doctor, and there is confidential information about my patients in there.
HIPAA violations out the wazoo, okay? Like, you've endangered my livelihood. And Sheriff Forbes has to take these two to task and be like, do you know how much trouble you have caused for me? They're like, no, it was her. And Sheriff Forbes is like, well, there's no way we can prove that now because since you broke into a home to get this evidence, it's no longer admissible.
I love that.
Congratulations.
I love that in this supernatural teen/YA drama, Sheriff Forbes just exists on like this other plane of reality where she's like, well, I'm in a police show. I'm in a legal drama. law enforcement television show, speaking about the ins and outs, what's not admissible in court, what the DA won't prosecute.
Sheriff Forbes,
You guys are Scooby-Dooing around here, and I'm like, no, this is against the law.
it doesn't work. You can't unmask Mr. Withers and be like it was him the whole time. You have to prove it with considerable evidence. What's the judge gonna say? She straddled this line for decades. She's like, I know when it's a situation where I have to get my deputies together and kill some vampires, and I know when it's a human like Meredith Fell who I can't just kill and won't just kill. We have to go through the law.
I mean, I can only imagine what it would look like Meredith's defense attorney would have a field day. He'd be like, so this orphan girl whose school teacher just decided to become her guardian, I guess because he was dating her aunt before she died.
Right, suspect clerical stuff there.
And this other boy who isn't an orphan but never knew his father and whose mother left town like last year after his sister OD'd.
Oh no.
Are now running around playing Mystery Incorporated.
Right, playing what exactly, Your Honor? Are they trying to be cops? Are they trying to be detectives? Are they sleuths? Either way, I know it's illegal. And I sure hope this court recognizes that.
Starting rumors against a pillar of the community,
Yes!
our life-saving surgeon, Meredith Fell.
A doctor, thank you very much, whose record is so stellar. Never has she lost a client in the last however many years she's been in this town.
I'd be like, Your Honor, this one child, Matt Donovan, has been without adult supervision for like a year now. I don't even know.
I question his character, Your Honor. Can we trust the antics of this wayward youth? Oh man, but that occurs, and they are sent home with a slap on the wrist because Sheriff Forbes still is willing to bend the law in that respect. But also Meredith Fall's not pressing charges, so she's like, all you're gonna do is go to that lovely doctor lady and apologize. And they head out. He's with Elena when they encounter later that evening Damon, quote, putting Stefan back on the wagon, but really just like give him a quick shove off the like back carriage that he's been clinging on to in terms of feeding blood.
I love that metaphor.
So that's fun. And this is when Matt has a chat with her and is like, okay, girly pop, what's going on with these Salvatore boys? Because I'm watching from the sidelines and it seems a little bit crazy, right? Again, Matt helping Elena work through her feelings. This is when she gives that speech about why she fell for Stefan and why she seems to be falling for Damon this season. She says specifically, with Damon, he snuck up on her and she just can't shake him. And Matt is like, well, that's what happens when you fall in love with someone. And it's like, oh, hold on. We're like 2 seasons out from that, buddy. Is there still a little bit of energy here? And to a certain extent, it's the function of a CW show, right? Is that like, while we're in romantic flux, we need to consider all possibilities. We need to consider, hey, maybe neither of the Salvatores get with Elena by the end of this arc, and she gets back with Matt, who she's been spending a lot more time with this season, and who has been her support system and her rock in this troublesome era.
As I have said in other episodes on the pod, Julie Plec stated in this season in which the other side was introduced as a concept, one of the many possibilities she was considering was that the show would end with both Stefan and Damon dying, and watching from the other side as Elena went on to live her life without them, maybe with Matt. Certainly in season 3, a few episodes prior to this, Klaus himself made it clear that for his selfish reasons, he is Team Matt, actually, neither Team Stefan nor Team Damon. He was like, Elena needs to find a nice human boyfriend, like that football player, the blonde one. And then they were like, oh yeah, so that she can continue the doppelganger line and pop out some other Petrova lookalikes every couple of centuries. And Klaus being like, what?
Yes.
No, I just think that good old, what's his name, is the best option. What did you say his name was? Max? Oh, Matt. Yes, him.
Michael?
Good old Mark. She should be with him.
Yeah, absolutely. So from multiple points in the story, there are seeds being laid where it's like, hey, this is one of our possibilities. I don't think they would ever have pulled the trigger on that because, again, it is a CW show. And in some context, a consideration is how popular a ship is. And there's no way Matt and Elena would have surpassed Stefan and Elena or Damon and Elena, for better or worse.
Elena ending up with Matt would have felt somewhat as insane as the ending of Glee where Rachel is married to Jesse. And it's like,
What?
Did you not finish Glee?
No, I stopped at like season 5. That's insane to me.
It's very much the same energy as Teen Wolf putting Scott with Malia in the final season, because God forbid our lead doesn't end up in a romantic pairing by the end of the show. And of course, Corey Monteith sadly had passed away, so Finn was no longer a character in the show.
But at least with, I'll say at least with Rachel and Jesse, they had at least dated before. You know, that's, groundwork. But still crazy.
Insane.
Jesse St. James? Is that his name?
Yeah,
that's his
Jesse
name.
St. James.
Interesting. Okay, sure. Why not? God forbid a new person.
You know?
But yeah. Just an interesting flag to plant on this potential Matt consideration in this time of season 3. When the decade dance rolls around again, they bring in Matt to keep Rebecca occupied while Caroline and Tyler have a reunion in secret. So that's lovely, because if you didn't know, Tyler's been run out of town at this point by Klaus because, God.
How does Matt keep Rebecca occupied? I've actually forgotten.
He's helping her organize the decade dance. Rebecca storms in and takes over and makes it a 20s decade dance instead of a 60s one or
And
70s.
Matt's like, I don't know, Caroline. The 20s seems like a fun idea. And Rebecca's like, ha ha, Caroline, I've turned your own friend and ex against you. And then it turns out they were playing her. Yes,
and Caroline's like, oh, boo, hiss, I've been fooled. Oh, Bex. And he drives her back to Klaus's mansion at the end of that day, which is another instance of her seeing the barest kindness from this boy and being like, wow, you fascinating specimen, Matt Donovan. It's like, all right, sure.
I think she
and
does.
I like Matt. I say
think
this
she-
as I like Matt.
In this scene, she does say, you're being a bit too nice. What's going on here? I'm not stupid. Are you playing me? And then Matt, gaslighting her, is like, I think it's really sad that someone was nice to you and you immediately thought they were up to something. I'm just a good guy. Have a nice day.
those well-laid season 1 tools that he's not picked up since, just like real quick spin of the quick draw. Love to see it. Use those tools for good, Matthew Donovan. Congratulations. And then finally, because again, nothing in between relating to Matt, there is the episode after.
I guess he
it would
almost.
be the final
I mean,
episode,
let's give him his flowers when all the vampiric characters are trapped at the school by
Wait!
Esther's circle of salt. Yes.
Before that, before that, I can't believe I rolled past this. Murder of One, Matthew Donovan.
Oh yeah.
Let's give him his flowers.
Oh my gosh,
there.
you're gonna have to loop that back in. I don't know. Use your editing skills.
Okay.
We completely.
No,
moved
it's
on.
okay. It's funnier to me to encounter moments that we forget he was there for and just have it chronologically be in. So, Murder of One, as you probably well know, this is episode 19 or something. They get together, the Mystic Falls gang. They've gotten the last of the white oak wood that remains in like a sign that was taken down ages ago. Chop it up into a bunch of stakes. They've got 12 of them. They're preparing to kill the originals. We're gonna kill one to kill them all because they've all been linked by their mother Esther, the quote-unquote original witch. And so in that plan, their easiest target in that moment is, because a bunch of shit happens, a lot of people are out of commission for reasons that they don't look into closely enough for my liking, but alas.
I think the originals had scattered post Abby being turned into a vampire. So when they see Finn is back in town, it's unexpected. I don't know if they were expecting Elijah to be around. I don't know where they thought Rebecca and Klaus were, but they certainly didn't think that they were all back in town.
So they spot Finn and Sage, who Stefan, I believe, clues them in on who Sage is. And they're like, okay, this is an opportunity. Where's Bonnie? We've been calling her. She's not picking up. Oh, well, who cares? Matt, Elena, and Stefan lay a ruse at the bar where Stefan does a nice little coquettish draw them out into into the open outside with a little bit of vervain spiked drink. Walks past them in full view. Sage is like, it's a trap. We need to get out of here. She grabs a coughing disabled Finn out of the Mystic Grill. As they go outside, Stefan engages them in combat. There's a scuffle. He tries to get him with the stake. It's knocked out of his hand. Him and Sage are fighting, and Sage tells Finn to go grab it.
I think Sage didn't know it was a trap. I think she assumed Stefan was she knew Stefan was behind this vervain thing and then was like, I'm 900. I'm gonna go kill this 160-something-year-old kid. And then that's why they followed him out.
Finn skips off down a side alley to go and get the stake that is rolling down the stairs, popping open A service door of the Mystic Grill. Working class busboy bartender, actually. I forgot to mention, he's been promoted. He's a bartender this season, and Jeremy's the busboy.
Which is not legal, because he's
no, not at all.
18 at most.
Absolutely not legal. Hey, maybe the drinking age in Mystic Falls or in Virginia is 18.
The drinking age all across America is 21.
Is it not by state? I thought there were allowances by state.
I think all the states are 21, though.
Oh, okay. I thought there were some states where it's like you can do it at 18 if a parent or guardian is present. I'll have to go.
Well, I don't think that would include working with and handling alcohol.
No, of course not. He should not be in a bar for sure. But here we are. Pops open the service door. Elena comes out with a crossbow stake, shoots it into Finn's side. He's down. Matt gets close with another stake right up to Finn, straight through the chest. Matt Donovan killing an original vampire. Icon, legend, first to ever do it. Actually, genuinely the first to kill an original in the history of this world.
Second after Klaus. But I mean, to be the first not original to kill an original.
Who did Klaus kill?
Klaus killed Michael.
Oh, Michael. Yeah. Who cares about Michael, though? I don't. Fine. Seconds to do it.
How ironic that at the beginning of this season, Esther was f***ing around using Matt's sister as a pawn. Esther, who very much wants her kids dead. And then Matt ends up killing the one child she actually kind of likes.
She's the one she liked. He said, let me get my lick back. Oh, this is your mama's boy? I was a mama's boy, bitch. You got to go. Stab. Learn from your mistakes in the afterlife. Boom. Great honor, Matthew Donovan.
Skipping back to the 20th Dance episode.
Skipping forward, that's an episode after.
Oh, is that after?
Yeah, it's Murder of One and then 20th Dance.
Oh, okay, so not that far ahead. Okay. Esther puts her circle of salt around the school, kidnaps Elena because she needs her doppelganger blood. The Mystic Falls gang and Klaus realize that she's up to something, and then they're like, oh, but we can't leave because we're all vampires or hybrids. And Bonnie, I guess, needs to stay here and figure it out like she always has to.
Yeah.
Jeremy and Matt are like, well, we're human. Matt, I fired a gun once. Jeremy, I've had like 2 minutes of training from Alaric. We can go fight Esther and save Elena.
All checks out.
So I think Matt has a gun again. Don't know where he got it from.
My
Jeremy
Maddie's got
has a
a
crossbow.
gun. My Maddie's got a gun.
They go to the spot of Esther's first death. They're very confident. I'm amazed at how confident they are. They're like, yeah, let our friends go or we're going to kill you. And then Esther's like, oh, okay, you want to involve yourself? If that is your wish. Starts to bloodbend them. It's very Hama making Sokka and Aang almost kill each other, or at least making Sokka almost stab Aang. She telekinetically forces them to face each other. Matt Matt knows he's being controlled, but seems to think Jeremy has some strength he doesn't have, because he's like, Jeremy, put the gun down, like put the crossbow down. And Jeremy's like, well, I can't. I don't know why you think I can't if you can't. Why you think I can if you can't? She's gonna make Matt shoot Jeremy, and Jeremy like crossbow Matt. And then thankfully they're saved because Alaric, who is woken up in transition and is no longer evil Alaric, briefly, stabs her in the back and kills her on the same spot she died the last time.
That is absolutely right. Honestly, crazy they didn't just shoot her out the gate. I guess they didn't have any certainty that that wouldn't cause like problems.
I'm like, Matt, you shot a witch. You shot a white witch before. You can do it again.
Shoot another white witch, buddy. Listen, all these people are rich beyond your means. It's actually praxis and class consciousness to shoot this 1,000-year-old Viking. But yes, another cool moment for Matthew Donovan. In the finale, after Elena has been injured in a scuffle with Klaus and Tyler and come back from the hospital because she had a bit of bleeding on the brain, I believe. Well, they don't know that yet. She is kept at home on bed rest, and after Alaric becomes a problem again because the witches have orchestrated for him to become not just evil Alaric, but Vamp Alaric now, and he's on the hunt for the originals, and that means their vampire friends might all die because the Sidelines. A bunch of people have to head off, and they leave Matt to watch over Elena while they're orchestrating a plan. Matt and Elena have another chat, and this is the one where, as you mentioned, Elena apologizes to Matt for stringing him along in the events prior to season 1, because now that she's got Stefan and Damon stuck in this triangle, which again I'd say is not her fault that these two brothers came and pursued her, and now they've got problems.
Oh yeah, we get a flashback flashback of 2008 Matt in this episode, and cheerleader Bonnie and Elena. Bonnie, I guess, already sensing or already knowing that Elena's kind of done with this relationship before Elena's parents have died, and being like, you gotta tell him, the longer you string him along, the worse it's gonna be for him. And it's like, oh wow. They always made it seem as though it was when her parents died, she was like, I'm too broken to be in this. But it was like, no, beforehand, she was already realizing that
you were feeling
the spark
it.
just wasn't really there.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Hey, listen, sometimes the childhood sweetheart thing doesn't work out, and we need that representation in our media. So as they're having this chat, they're drinking this sweet honey tea that Matt has prepared for them, and she's kind of helping her talk through what she enjoys about her relationships with either of the Salvatore brothers, because ultimately everyone in the story has decided, Elena, you've got to pick. This is it, baby girl. You won't get another chance.
They were like, we don't know if we're getting another season.
Exactly that. And in the midst of that, Elena, for whatever reason, passes out. And when we don't see her pass out, we just see her in a dream.
I love how when he hands her the tea, it's like, sorry, I oversweetened it. Like, I suck at like making beverages. And I'm like, isn't your job making beverages, Matthew?
He doesn't make tea. He pours whiskey drinks. Thank you. They're very different.
He makes coffee. He put vervain in the coffee at the beginning of a season. That's how Tyler learned that, that's what vervain tastes like.
That's very true. Matt, where are the barista skills? A spy indeed. Listen. Use that sweet little face. That's how you get him. When she wakes from the latest flashback dream where she's chatting with her mother, I believe, about the same situation, she wakes up in Matt's truck and they are driving, and she's like, this isn't where I fell asleep. Where are we? And Matt's like, yeah, nah, we're getting out of there. Okay, life's kind of crazy right now. Me and Jeremy have chatted, and it's like, we're going to get you to safety. So don't worry about it. We're good. And she's like, okay, well, that's wild. But, I guess I've done this many a time before, Jeremy, so fair's fair. And then, of course, shit hits the fan when Vampire manages to get to Klaus seemingly and kills him. And they know that all their vampire friends are probably going to die, and that Tyler is definitely going to die. And Matt stops the truck, and through preternatural senses, he stops it halfway between where Stefan is and where Damon is and says, Elena, baby girl, love of my life, formerly maybe a little bit now, but friend of my life, I can drive you forward to where Damon is in a warehouse in some southern state that I, Sandile, have forgotten in this moment. Or we could turn back and go to Mystic Falls to where Stefan is. I told you, girl, you gotta choose now.
The road between them is a straight line. They are equidistant.
There is no traffic at this hour of night that will make that estimation difficult at all. No road closures, no construction. He's checked the Google Maps. He knows what's going on. And Elena ultimately decides to go back, not just to Stefan, but to all her friends, including Tyler, her good friend who's about to die. And why
are you always shading the Tyler and Elena relationship? They're close.
Yeah, they spoke in the second episode of the season, I remember. So
yeah, they were doing senior prank night together, remember? Good times.
Together's a stretch.
She was going to go to the homecoming thing that was being held at his house. Good times.
True friends.
He saved her from Klaus and told Klaus he wasn't his little bitch anymore. Good times.
That's so true. That's so true. That really is what bonded them now. Him saving her life from the monster who tortured them both. Oh, Tylena, I stand for you. But of course, best laid plans go sideways quite literally when an immortal vampire decides that her life is more important than yours. Rebecca, deciding she does not want to live her life on the run from Vampilaric, decides, I'm going to kill the thing that's keeping him alive on this earth. And she
stands,
arguably orchestrates.
She stands in the middle of the road.
And Matt, for whatever reason, sees this and veers completely out of the way.
I'm like, Rebecca, how did you know Matt wasn't just gonna plow through you? Because as we've said, the vampires are strong but not durable. So it's not like if she rooted herself to the spot, a la the Blob or Colossus, Matt would not have been able to just keep driving.
But the thing is, Matt's been so infinitely kind to her over the course of this season, showing that Matt is this divinely empathetic and sweet person. He would never do that. I say this facetiously on Rebecca's part, but as it turns out to be true, Matt did not want to plow through Rebecca such that he drove off a bridge, putting himself in danger.
I'll say maybe he didn't even recognize it was her. Just on instinct, he saw a person standing in the road and was whoa, let me try and swerve.
In the world of self-driving
Matty
cars,
boy.
I veer away from danger to keep people safe. So they go off the bridge and they plunge into the water. As we already know, they are drowning. Stefan comes in to try and rescue them, and Elena insists that Stefan rescue Matt first.
Who is knocked out.
Who is unconscious in this scene, yes. Rescues Matt, and in that time, Elena drowns and dies. We do not see Matt for the rest of this episode, and so this is the last time we see him for the season, but we know that the season ends with Elena waking as a vampire because Meredith Fell, miracle worker doctor, put some blood in her system. So, season 3, probably Matt's best season in my opinion.
Really beautiful that we get to see more of the Matt and Elena friendship this season, and then it bookends with this thing of like, oh yeah, in the same way that her father saw this total stranger underwater and was like, save my baby girl first. Elena was like, yeah, Stefan, save Matt, my friend, whom I love deeply. It's nice that when she dies a vampire, it's because of her self-sacrificial nature, and that the person she's dying for is Matt, one of our remaining humans. They could have picked someone else. They could have put Jeremy in that scene, but they decided, no, let's tie this to Matt Donovan, which opens all sorts of interesting doors as we go forward.
And in fact, when we discussed this in the Elena episode, I think you were the one to clock that, oh, that might be the reason this whole season we've been sort of ramping up that Matt-Elena friendship, reminding you how close friends they are, or at the very least, returning to that closeness that they had presumably prior to when they were dating, because that would then serve this final scene very well in that, oh yeah, of course she would sacrifice herself for Matt. It's Matt. He's been there for her from day one.
I mean, she wasn't going to do that for Amy Bradley or Amber Bradley, no relation.
Right. It's who are they? She might have. But, you know, it's certainly something she would do for Matt. And as you say, as we roll into season 4, we start off with some deep, deep survivor's guilt. Oof. It's not great. Elena's in transition. A lot of shit's happening in the town regarding Pastor Young and people, more like town council people trying to cause problems. Matt feels responsible for Elena's death because she chose to save him first.
Damon is like, I agree, you are.
Right. Damon's like, you should die for that, even though the whole reason Elena's a vampire was to keep you alive. Stefan, who is the one who saved him, is like, hey, you don't get to be sad, okay? You don't deserve that. You need to live every day for Elena now because she chose to save your life, which I think is a lot to put on Matthew. Thank you very much.
Shame.
But okay.
Stefan was just given some tough love. He had been very nice the whole episode, and he was like, wow, I'm not a saint. I'm also a bit annoyed that you're alive. I saved you because Elena asked me to, not because I actually wanted you to be alive and for her to be a vampire.
It's just we always lose in the energy of, oh, these men who would die to save these women, or these men who would kill to save them. It's like, okay, that's well and good. This is still a child compared to you, and you're being very cruel. I don't think it's his fault. I mean, and I think you're projecting a lot of emotions onto him.
He's stressed. Certainly on brand for Damon, who the first time he sees Matt in this episode, he's like, in what world do you get to live? Damon looked at the call sheet. he looked at the character list and was like, no. Elena is sitting comfortably at number 1. I guess I am number 3, sure. You, however, you're lower than Tyler.
Number
How do you get to live?
At best? Maybe 7.
With Rebecca and Klaus now being leads, you might even be lower than that.
Oh no, that's so true. Oh, and in fact, in this episode, Damon does try to kill Matt.
Yes.
Just out of spite, to be like, you don't deserve to live. And it's like, wow. Okay.
Claims to be using him as a ploy to get to Pastor Young and the town council, then just rips open his throat and is like, oh, guys, I'm a big scary vampire. Here's my human victim. Matt's like, well, this isn't acting. I'm actually bleeding out.
I'm now bleeding out. And Damon's like, yeah, well,
Damon's like,
that'll
yeah.
be one good thing I get out of this
I'm going
day.
to
And it's
literally
like, oh.
kick you while you're down, and then I guess just kill you, because it'll be cathartic for me. And then Elena's first moment as a vampire on screen is saving Matt. Again, saving Matt from Damon.
Reaffirming that is the whole reason she did this shit. So screw you, actually.
And look at the balance.
And then when Stefan heals him after this encounter.
Her last moment as a human, the good Salvatore, is saving Matt at her behest. Her first moment as a vampire, the bad Salvatore, is endangering Matt, and she has to save him.
Oh, man. Oh, Matty boy. The whole time just being like, I shouldn't even be here. I don't deserve to be here. And nobody's engaging. Everyone's either just like, yeah, you shouldn't. Or just being like, I've got other things to do. It's like, oh, boy. Thereafter is the memorial for Pastor Young, who dies quite explosively at the end of episode 1, along with the rest of the interim town council. They see April Young, a new character who's always been there, we promise. And him and Jeremy start to become connected to her story because a woman does need to be there. He is working through, again, these feelings of guilt. And they try to help April out as she's like dealing with her own grief about her father. They go to the memorial service. This is also around the time Connor Jordan, a new vampire hunter, is causing a ruckus. He is laying a trap for the vampires in Mystic Falls at this memorial service. He gets April, guts her with a knife, and then holds her bleeding body on the balcony to lure the vamps out. Elena, being the newbie vampire, is the only one who's not able to control herself, also because she has been starving because she's having trouble drinking human blood. Wonder what that's about. Matt, in a brilliant Hail Mary, is like, well, if she needs to feed, she can feed on me. And everyone's like, Matt, are you crazy? And he's like, no, it's cool. I'm right here. I'm a human and I have an open neck and it's the least I owe her. And it's like, oh, Matt, this is a rough space to be in.
He's like, just pretend you're sobbing into my neck. It's totally not weird. The hunter doesn't know our dynamic and, you know, what level of intimacy we're comfortable with. He totally won't realize from the angle that he's watching this from, an angle we don't know because we haven't seen him. He won't realize that you're sinking your mouth into my neck.
Which she then does and starts drinking from him and pulls away when she's had her fill. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We're out of this situation now, tense situation. Then, of course, as we know, Tyler goes forward and takes the hit in order to allow his friends to go and find Connor Jordan wherever he is. Not much Matt beyond that. Afterwards, in the episode where the Rager, that party goes on, that the anti-curfew party that Rebecca's throwing, Matt and Elena meet up. I believe it's like behind the school.
Yeah.
And they talk about it being their old makeout spot, which is like, oh, some cute reminiscing, which is then immediately ruined because it seems they have now been getting together every so often so that Elena can feed from him. It's now
like,
just
I'm
an
sorry,
ongoing
it's just
thing.
the only thing I can keep down. And I'm like, oh, Elena.
Oh, it's a really bad situation because Elena, because of forces that are beyond her, can only drink human blood from the vein, and she doesn't want to hurt people. But Matt is a quote-unquote willing blood bag. That goes on. There's a Rebecca interaction, but of course she did kill them. She killed one of them and tried to kill the other. So Matt has no shits to give for her. So that's fun. There's some Connor stuff because Connor sees the bandage on his neck and is like,
what's going on here? And he's like, a girlfriend got a bit carried away. And Connor's like, okay, I'm watching you. Later on, finds Matt with a bandage on his forearm, rips it off without even asking, sees 2 puncture wounds. He's like, pretty kinky girlfriend you've got there. And I'm like, listen, sir, this is a high schooler. I don't know what you think you're doing walking into the school and interrogating children about their sex lives. This is
You're
weird.
grown ass. Where is the security? Where's the guidance counselor? This is crazy. But he coerces Matt with a bit more strength than is expected of the average man to tell him which one of his friends is a vampire. And Matt gives up Rebecca Michelson's name.
Which is fair.
fair is bloody fair if you try to kill me and killed my best friend.
Is this the same episode in which Rebecca tries to buy him a truck in order to say, I'm sorry? Well, she buys him a truck. She's like, here we go, car keys to your new trucks. You know,
It's the episode before that.
Oh, Rebecca.
This is the episode before it. The next episode is when she buys him the truck.
Oh, I see.
He tells Connor it's Rebecca Michelson. And then finally, to close off this thing of him being the blood bag, he goes over to Elena's because Elena's had some harrowing situation. I believe the party where she encounters Rebecca and has a fight. She needs to feed from Matt again. And it's this awkward thing where they're having a chat as if they're friends. She's like talking to him about her state and like venting about how she's been feeling the whole time. He's like taking off his jacket, like preparing his neck. And she's like getting a bit more like feral. And it's like, oh no, a beautiful thing has been corrupted here. It really sucks. She starts to feed from him. This time she's unable to stop. She keeps drinking more. He tries to stop her to push her away, but she is much stronger than him now. And she like pushes him into a counter. She's like basically scrambling onto him. And then Damon comes over and intervenes. He compels Matt to forget what happened and sends him away. And that's that. Crazy.
We get to see a Matt who doesn't really exist as part of Rebecca's hallucination because she's been infected with a hybrid venom via the beer at her party. He reads her for filth. Go back to the originals episode if you want to see that.
Once again, like when he was compelled to speak to Tyler that way, it's not him. It only works so well because it's not what he does. Then is the episode where Rebecca buys him a truck to apologize for trying to kill him and killing his best friend.
Fully paid off and insured.
And Matt's like,
and I mean, speaking of
what?
Interview with a Vampire, it's very, let's start trying to win Louis back after dropping him out of the sky and being kicked out of the house by buying him, and by extension Claudia, all these gifts to be like, look, I'm sorry. I'm in the
you forgive me?
fourth
Let's
cycle
stop
of
this
my
nonsense.
abusive tactics. Please.
He's like, girl, this is insane. That the only way you know how to apologize is to try and buy me. And anyways, you should be apologizing to Elena, who you actually killed and whose life you've ruined. So then he gets in touch with April just to, like, you know, again, be a supportive shoulder, check in on how she's doing. Finds out that April is apparently friends with Rebecca and is like, what's going on here? But April's in her own storyline. Don't worry about it. He then reads Rebecca a little bit fulfilled because he's like, hard to believe you have a friend. And then also says, I'm keeping the truck. Matt gets a truck.
I love it. He's like, I don't accept your apology, but I do accept the gift.
Very true. After that is the hostage situation that Connor Jordan engineers at the grill. He locks down Jeremy, Matt, and April, the three humans. I say the three humans of the group. April's not really in the group, but, you know, she's there. And is like, yeah, y'all are fools for hanging out with vampires. Let me show you what this shit is really about. And then proceeds to set a bunch of crazy explosive traps for all the vampires who are going to come and save them. Yeah, Matt really doesn't do a lot in this episode, I'll be honest. It's mostly Elena, Stefan, and Damon stuff. These guys are just hostages.
Yeah.
But eventually they're rescued.
At the end of the episode, which is funny in light of Connor telling them, you kids gotta start drinking vervain and not just wearing it where anyone can take it off you. Jeremy then tricks April into accepting his vervain bracelet so that she won't be able to be compelled, and ropes Matt into agreeing that, yeah, I think it looks really good on you. That doesn't look good on her, Matt. And Matt's like, yeah, it does. And she's like, oh, well, I guess if Matt thinks it looks nice, I'll accept.
Yes, April has this big crush on Matt. I forgot. Yes, April is hugely into Matt, which is kind of cute. For a hot second, it seems to be like maybe a triangle thing with Jeremy and Matt, but they dropped that very quickly. But yeah. And then more Matt and Jeremy. Jeremy's a hunter now.
Yes.
Because, well, Jeremy's a potential at the very least, because I don't think... Oh, no, he's a hunter now, because Elena kills Connor in that episode.
Oh, yeah.
In the episode where they're kidnapped. Yeah. So now Jeremy's a hunter, and Matt and Jeremy are getting stuff together for the Mystic Falls pageant parade thingy. Jeremy lifts a keg that Matt could not lift with ease and with a hand, and Matt's like, whoa, what's going on there? And he starts to ask Jeremy about his experience as a hunter. I think mostly he's just expressing concern because they saw how crazy Connor Jordan was for the murder of vampires. And now that Jeremy's sister's a vampire, maybe we should be a little bit worried about that. And Jeremy's like, I think you're overthinking it, bro. I think everything will be fine. It isn't. Jeremy injures Stefan, though that specifically is deserved. Then has a dream about hurting Elena, and then disappears because he was supposed to be April's date to the Mystic Falls pageant. April is an entry this year for Miss Mystic. In a recreation of the season 1 moment that I guess people really love, Jeremy, the Stefan of the scenario who's disappeared because he's off the rails. Matt, the Damon, is the one who swoops in and has the arm out to escort April and save her from the embarrassment of appearing alone. And he even does the like over-the-shoulder smirk that Damon does in his episode. And I'm like,
a Damon who is not trying to steal his brother's girlfriend.
Yeah, true. Just
so
genuinely just
much
like
better in this situation.
just I'm here to help, but for whatever reason they're setting up the scene to be this really smarmy smirky, and I'm like, that's not who Matt is. This is a little bit weird.
He does have a funny
why are we
smirk.
trying to
I can see it in my head. It continues to exist in my memories. It makes me feel weird.
It's so weird.
I was like, Zach Rohrig, what are you doing with your face?
What are you doing with your mouth? It's like beakish almost, and I'm like, let's not make you do this.
Duck mouth.
Truly.
The duck face.
The duck face
it
of
was the
2011.
gems.
You know? Yeah. I'm just like, this is weird. It has nothing to do with anything, but here we are. And at the end, when they determine Elena is not safe around Jeremy because he tries to strangle her with the necklace, she moves out of the Gilbert residence and Matt moves in. Is that what happens?
Yes.
Because we need to separate Jeremy and Elena, but we can't leave Jeremy by himself. He is off the rails. We need somebody to keep an eye and make sure he's tied to humanity and to his goodness, to be his rock, to be his shoulder to cry on.
Matt constantly living in other people's homes in this show.
Because they have McMansions, and honestly, it's for the best. Let him enjoy a little bit of luxury while he can, instead of his 2-bedroom suburban house, which is honestly perfectly fine.
Honestly, for the one who's meant to be the poor kid in the house, I'm like, you have a nice home.
Pretty nice home, you know? Yeah, time passes.
I don't know what happens. I guess we go into the arc of Klaus wants the tattoo to grow.
We're at the lake house. Jeremy's training to be a hunter. Matt's there for that. He's got the punching pads. He's like Jeremy's like boxing trainer now. Damon is here orchestrating some shit. There's all that pizza stuff.
Yes,
right?
Klaus.
They get the pizza person to come in and it's a vampire?
Yes, Klaus starts creating newbie vampires to send off to them so that Jeremy can kill them. It starts off with the pizza girl. The next episode, it's a whole horde of vampires coming after them.
And largely in this, Matt is someone that Jeremy needs to protect while he is coming into his hunter powers. So,
yes.
You know, that's, again, a place he settles neatly into.
Because, as Damon points out, well, Klaus, you can't let Jeremy die. He's the hunter that we need. And Klaus is like, yeah, I guess that's true. But Matt Donovan can die. I don't know. I don't care about him.
So it's a lot of that for like, I think 3 episodes. And then Matt eventually leaves the lake house because, again, he has work to get back to.
Yeah. And I think Cole has killed all the vampires at this point and then sends Damon after Jeremy under compulsion.
After that, it's very close to the race to the cure. They've neutralized Klaus and now they want to neutralize Rebecca. So Elena gets Matt to go work with Stefan to locate the dagger that she has and use it to dagger her and then head off. But just as he shows up being like, now? Stefan's like, no, it's cool. Me and Rebecca are tight now. So he's like, okay. And then he leaves.
Rebecca always involved in some plot where someone gets cold feet and is like, no, it's fine. Call it off. I don't want to do it anymore.
Matt disappears for the entirety of the race to the cure.
Yes.
Truly not even on screen. Even with the people who remain behind in town.
His boss told him, you have not been clocking in the hours, my guy. I know finals are coming up and you're going to be very busy with school.
Right.
But if you don't work, I have to let you go.
And I need to know that your management material, like time is coming up where we're going to be considering promotions and I need to know you can run this place without me. And Matt's like, you're absolutely right, boss. I'm going to start clocking in those time cards. Trust me. And he's just at the grill off screen the whole time. When he comes back, everyone's returned from Nova Scotia. Jeremy is dead. And oh God, when Matt walks in and sees Jeremy's body and breaks down crying, something about Zach Rorig's face when he is sad and mournful is so heart-wrenching.
It's the eyes and the shape that his mouth takes. And it's because like he's this big masculine guy. And you're like, oh no, if he's crying, this must be terrible.
This must be an awful situation. Bless him. A budding friend that he's had for the last season and a half. This kid he was supposed to take care of. In our hearts, a love interest. Now lying dead. Caroline's the one who called him because Elena is in some sort of way.
She's a river in Egypt.
And Matt is here to console.
When does he have that little breakdown in his car where he hits the steering wheel in that manly way that men always have to do when they're crying in the car?
I believe it's this episode. It is this episode when he slams the wheel. Really sad stuff.
I don't think he's there when Elena burns the house down.
No, he's taken Bonnie away at that point. Well, not taken away. Bonnie isn't here.
Yeah,
right? They don't bring
she's
Bonnie back to this place.
Yeah, she's not back this episode, I don't think.
But he drives her home and Bonnie's like, it's okay, Matt.
Oh, yes.
Bring it back.
She's also in her own kind of weird way, and Matt's just like, okay, girl, go sleep.
Okay, maybe you should get some rest, girl. You've been on that island too long. And after he's dropped her off, that's when he starts crying in the car and slamming the wheel.
Oh, Maddie Blue.
Oh, Maddie Blue. Yeah, it's just them dealing with Elena now being humanity off, worrying about Bonnie seemingly being absent, but not doing anything to resolve that. And then at the end of that one episode, Bring It On, where it's all the cheerleader nonsense, Tyler, who has not come back after his failed attempt to coup Klaus, leaves his home in Matt's name as sort of a final thing of, I cannot come back to Mystic Falls right now. And this will be a safe house for you and for Caroline especially, because now that it's in your name as a person, as a human, no vampires can come in.
And so Matt moves house again. I don't know if he was still... Well, he wasn't living at the Gilbert home because that's been burned down.
No, that's been absolutely... So you know what? He actually needs a new mansion to live in right now. So this is great.
I hope he hadn't left any of his stuff in the Gilbert house during the Race to the Cure arc. And now it's just ash because Elena burned it down before he had a chance to come back and get it.
So then, I think after that is prom.
I think so, yeah.
And at prom, I think they do a friend's prom essentially because Tyler's not in town to be a date for Caroline.
And everyone else is not in a relationship.
Right. Like, even Bonnie, who was rekindling things with Jeremy's now dead. Elena has no humanity, so she's not even here in the group. And they're like, let's just go to prom together. Yeah, again, I think it's just a lot of dealing with the central plot stuff. It's Elena who's burning every bridge she possibly can because she doesn't care.
Rebecca who's doing her bet with Elijah and Klaus that she can behave like a human for a day.
I forgot about that. What is Matt's vibe with that whole shit?
I don't even know if she flirts with him this episode like she usually would.
Yeah, I think they're just... I think they dance, definitely, at the dance. But, like, her attachment to him in this moment is because she wants the cure, because she wants to be human, and Matt is the one human in this town of the important people. And it's like, he is the closest she has gotten to experience.
Projecting onto him hard, that's mostly where this romantic interest in him comes from.
Yep.
Bonnie and Matt are voted prom king and queen.
Yes, they are. I forgot about that. Another little note to like ring around the pin. Matt and Bonnie, come on. They're the ones you can't be like, these people suck. Like, objectively of the group, these two are the best of this nightmare group that is corrupted. He is
the quarterback and Tyler's out of town. Who else was going to get it?
That's so true.
And then Elena, who I guess is doing her Thelma and Louise thing with Rebecca because she's no humanity Elena right now, had told April Young, not that I care, April, but could you make Rebecca prom queen? Because it's something that she cares about for some dumb reason. April's like, no, I have integrity. I'm counting these votes as an impartial grade 11 for the grade 12s. And Bonnie won fair and square. So no humanity Elena goes to her and is like, bitch, what did I say? I told you to make Rebecca win. Was I unclear? I don't know what she does to her. Does she hit her in the head, rip her neck? I don't know. But she injures April in some
something
way.
violent.
And leaves her there with Matt and Rebecca. Matt's like, oh my gosh, Rebecca, please save her. Rebecca's like, oh gosh.
The thing
I
is-
can't. I made a deal with my 2 older brothers who aren't present. And honestly, I could lie to. But I have integrity. And even when I'm not being watched, I honor my promises. So I can't use my vampire blood to heal someone. Because otherwise, I lose the bet. And then Matt's like, really? How is this even like a consideration? Please help her. You want to be a human? Do the decent human thing and save this innocent girl.
Right.
And Rebecca's like,
who had nothing
God
to do
damn
with
it.
your
Okay.
shit. Oh, Bex. She does this. She does lose the bet, but it was rigged because Silas doing some typical Silas shit after that. But that's not important to Matt because Matt then takes a healed April home, wraps her in his jacket, but he does tell Rebecca, hey, you did the right thing. Maybe you wouldn't make a bad human after all. Because that's been the conflict between them throughout this episode.
And Rebecca, I guess, goes home thinking, I can hear the bells.
God. Sha-la-la-la-la. God, it's the Elena. We're finally drying Elena out because the original Spectre pilot happened. And then we've got Elena in the Salvatore cellar.
Yes.
There's some stuff about Matt failing all his classes, which again is just like, yeah, obviously,
yes.
with all this shit that's
Suddenly
going
we're
on.
a real show and it's like finals are happening. Matt is failing because he does work an entire job and has to deal with all this supernatural nonsense. And he's never been the most cerebral of the characters. And then Rebecca is now helping
Rebecca's
him study.
like, oh, you're failing. I'll help you study. And Caroline's upset.
Caroline
She's like,
is
why didn't you come to
offended.
me? I'm the queen
Understandably.
of studying.
Rebecca's like, oh, you're doing Italian? Don't know where they found an Italian teacher in this one-horse town in Virginia. But she's like, oh, you do Italian? I can help you. I was fluent in the 1400s, but, languages have a way of changing. And I was like, I don't doubt that you were fluent back then or that languages changed, but I do doubt that Matt has been taking Italian. In this town? Not even Spanish, like a language that is commonly spoken in the US. Italian!
Well,
how?
Well, Italian's a bit whiter, isn't it? So, it's just kind of the vibe.
Stefan and Damon's
Everybody's taking Italian and German.
distant cousins from the Salvatore line who kept up the language live in town, and one of them is a teacher who teaches Italian at the school.
I love to think. But yeah, Matt at first is just like, I'm not even super sure why you're still here when your brothers have gone off to the spin-off show. But alas, here we are. She helps him study. Caroline shows up. It's this trifecta that forms that's a little bit unholy, but it's fun to watch.
The unholy trinity of blonde.
At the end, the Salvatores concoct this plan. Well, I guess Damon concocts
does,
the plan.
since Catherine has let Elena out of her cage.
They use Matt as the last-ditch Hail Mary to snap Elena out of her no-humanity era. They put Matt in front of her and is like, hey, remember your friend who is your rock and your anchor and who you died to save. I'm gonna kill him right in front of you. And Elena's like, see if I can. So Damon's like, fine. And then snaps his neck.
I like the gambit. Damon, you ate with that one thing, at least. I feel like it was supposed to be this twist. I immediately knew what was going on because it had been in my mind that where is this object that Jeremy has not been able to use, or at least it was established that he wouldn't be able to use it and now he's dead. Damon just being like, Elena, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Turn your humanity back on or I'm gonna kill Matt in front of you. Stefan, who I don't think was in on the plan, being like, Damon, no, this is a bit much. And Damon's like, oh, who's gonna miss this idiot? I'm gonna kill him right now, Elena. Elena like, okay, Damon, go ahead. I don't know why Elena thought he was kidding, because I'm like, Elena, this man has hated Matt at the best of times. So I didn't know you having no humanity
has already tried to kill him.
affected your memory.
Has already killed your brother that one time. I don't know why we're thinking like this is beyond David. I'm pleasantly surprised it was a ploy, but I was like, no, he's just doing it.
Matt is like, Elena, please. And then like, no. Damon's like, okay, fine. Snaps Matt's neck and she's like,
Rip. Rip.
She's so shook.
Props to Damon for playing to his strengths because he does that and then let Stefan swoop in with the emotional guide, with the words, with the like, that feeling you just felt, Elena, hold on to that shit. because that's what you need to come back to. Look at your friend dead on the floor.
Damon does briefly eulogize Matt as Elena thinks that he's dead for like 60 seconds. He's like, I remember when he was a little kid, big goofy smile, his whole life ahead of him. All that's gone now.
How would you know?
And then he's like, guess it's a good thing he was wearing this. Shows that Matt's got the Gilbert ring.
He comes back from the dead because of the Gilbert ring, and it's all okay. And Elena, thankfully, comes back to her regular self. Yeah, I think there's a little moment with Rebecca about like, hey, you know, I can't undo what I did, but I will try my best to try and pay you back. And it's like, okay, cool.
Interesting that with Klaus now gone, she's significantly less evil.
Yeah, truly after the road trip with Elena to New York, she's like softened a bit. It's like, oh, that's kind of cute. After that, Matt and Rebecca are sort of hanging out. At this point, a couple of ghosts come back because
expression triangle.
Bonnie has been opening the expression triangle. So Cole comes back. He's a little bit mad. He attacks.
He comes in and
Matt
Rebecca's like,
in this moment.
Cool. He's like, oh, no need to mourn me, sister. I already watched you do it. It lasted all of 24 hours. Cole points out that Jeremy, who he'd like to have killed because Jeremy killed him, is gone, but he'll settle for Elena. Matt makes some kind of threat of, oh, if you go near her, Cole smashes a bottle on the countertop and points it at Matt and is like, I'm very interested as to where you're going with this. Please go on.
Oh, Matthew. He does hurt Matt, but he clearly doesn't care about Matt. So he heads off to go find lovely Elena, and Rebecca's the one who saves him. Once again, later in the episode, they are both trapped in a dangerous situation because of a ghost who's come back. Rebecca's ex asterisk?
Alexander. She calls him her ex. She's like, that's my ex-boyfriend, Alexander. And then Vaughn and Connor show up. I guess they've been bonding on the other side.
Hunters of the Five unite! Which is a reference to the movie Hackers, if you don't know. Hackers of the World unite!
Is that the one with Angelina Jolie?
That's correct, and Matthew Lillard.
I've watched that movie. It's insane. It's hilarious how in the 90s people were viewing cyberspace.
The envisioning of cyberspace is beautiful. Everything Jenny Calendar does in Buffy with a computer is so funny to me, but I love it. Ending that episode rolling into the final episode, Graduation, Alexander places them in this Saw situation. Matt is on a platform that's like calibrated to his weight, I guess, that if he steps off it, explosions will be set off and he will be conflagrated in flame and debris.
I like that it's the three different hunters come together and combine their efforts, because Connor's like the more stem of the hunters. You know, he was mixing hybrid venom, he's got the explosives and all the traps, and then Alexander's like from the olden days, and he's like, oh, look at the wonders of technology and how they've made vampire hunting so much easier.
So he sets this up and is like, okay, well, Matt's here. Rebecca does a selfless thing in this first arc of the episode and goes, hey, I am going to save you in this moment because you can't die here. You're an 18-year-old who's just about to graduate. You need to see life in the world. And she vamp speeds, shoves him off the thing, and stands on the weight, I think, and then it explodes. What does she replace him with, Alexander?
I can't remember. I can't remember how she gets them off there. I do remember, however, that she pointed out a loophole, I guess, that she theorized would negate the powers of the ring, because Matt's like, I've got the Gilbert ring on, and these are supernatural hunters, so they can't kill me. And Rebecca's like, I don't think the ring will work if you're blown to 1,000 bits. And I was like, really? Why won't it? Are you doubting my girl, Emily?
The thing is, Emily, well, let's think. Because when they start fashioning corporeal bodies from the essence of the other side, as we've determined, who is the person that starts doing that? That's the Traveler shit. It's possible Emily, not that she wasn't powerful enough, but that wasn't her brand of magic. So valid concern on Rebecca's end.
I guess healing snapped necks and gunshot wounds and, stab wounds is not the same as stringing together, the blown up remains of a person who was on a bomb. Okay.
But however it is she saves him, she knocks him out of the blast of the explosion, and she can't be killed, so not a worry.
I guess if she's blown to 1,000 bits, she'll be fine. Or her body just can't.
Yeah, maybe because she's so resilient, it'll just
the way that Elijah couldn't burn.
But Matt makes it to graduation. He's there when all the Mystic Falls gang get together in their little gowns and caps and sashes and take a little selfie, and they're like, we made it, guys, we did it. Bonnie's dead, none of them know.
Tyler's absent.
And they graduate.
A very white-looking Mystic Falls gang. No melanin to be seen.
Rough go of it. At the end, Matt decides to go on a Euro trip with Rebecca because he's like, well, I've spent my whole life in this small town. Now I want to see the world. And I've got a rich original who's into me and she's willing to make that vision happen. I'm going to hop in my truck.
1,000-year-old sugar mama.
Might as well do it. And they set off.
April Young is nowhere to be seen by this point.
Where did April go? Home, I guess. And that's it. You know, he took her home in episode 20 and she despawned out of the show in that
We
moment.
haven't seen April since she learned about the supernatural and then went to the authorities and said, oh, my father was manipulated by Atticus Shane. Everyone in this town needs to start telling the truth. And then we don't see her again after that.
That's about it. It's a shame.
I love how you say she despawned.
She despawned. She went out of the view of the video game, out of the bounds of the playable area, and was despawned. They said Z minus 1,000. Thank you very much, ma'am. But as for Matt, that marks the end of season 4 for him. And this is going to be, I think, the cutoff point for, once a reminder, the thesis question we placed at the beginning of the show. Because beyond this, the show becomes different, the gang becomes different, and Matt starts getting into some shit that we'll get into a different day.
Yeah.
But our question was, what was it that Matt did that was so bad? We have raised a couple of instances where we were like, Matthew, the hell's going on over here? Largely within his relationship with Caroline, it's the zenith of the Kelly stuff and the double date are, in my opinion, the worst thing Matt's ever done. What else is there?
I guess that, like a lot of characters, he doesn't like Damon.
Okay. That's almost every character in the show except Elena and Damon.
And as time goes on, again, like a lot of characters, looking at you, Jeremy and Bonnie, he becomes disenchanted with vampires who aren't Elena and Caroline.
And I guess maybe that's an aspect of it that will carry forward into the back half, because to me, that's when there was a lot more potential to Matt's character that I feel like could have been worked with. But yeah, maybe that might be it too. It's like he starts to oppose some of the vampires in this town, and, you know, as an audience, we like the vampires, so that's bad, which may raise a question of like the consumption of the show and how we could be a bit more critical in our thinking.
I mean, but Bonnie doesn't like them either, and Bonnie mistreated by the creators, but not really by the fans.
I guess, although I did tell
Unless you count shipping her with Kai as mistreatment.
You know, and we do. But I did tell you that one time that I saw that post that was mad that they brought back Bonnie and not, who was the other character who died that they wanted to come back? I can't even remember at this point. Some man, I'm sure.
At which point? Because Bonnie dies a few times, so
Well,
I'm not even sure.
We can take our pick, right? I'll go back and see if I'll find it, and I'll mention it at the top of next session. But given that, at least to me, I'm not sure if you have one for Fadzai, tangibly within the story, that's like I said, the highest pin I can put in the corkboard of what Matt has done to draw my ire and my critique.
I mean,
is that like, okay, what are the other... Yeah.
Certainly, I never thought that he did anything that bad. This is a show in which most of our leads have killed innocents and have abused each other and have betrayed each other. So I was never really looking at his sins and going, oh yeah, this guy.
And that's my question, right? Is that like, in that framework, it would be ludicrous to consider Matt some sort of like innate bad guy. And so I guess we have to go in this world, right, where murder, vampire attacks, all the shit that this gang gets up to is like, that's part of the show. The framework we're looking at is like more emotional, more interpersonal, right? It's like the harm we do to each other as friends rather than the harm we cause visibly or tangibly. And it's like, okay, in that vein, what does Matt do?
Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing like, unforgivable, surely.
On average,
like some teen drama stuff,
right? is the absolute terminus of his harm, and I'm like, if that's what we're getting on Matt for, every other character has done that shit and then some. So it's like, why him?
We always say we don't want to boil down people's opinions to their, shallow sense of attraction. But it is
Who are you
that.
attracted to? It
And
could
y'all
be
know,
that.
y'all know who you are. Y'all know what you do. The truth is, they just didn't find Matt as delicious, I guess, as Damon and Stefan, or as Tyler and Jeremy.
Yeah, so it's like...
Which I don't get. I'm like, I think Zach Rohrig was a very, very CW good-looking person. It's not even like by the standards of CW, he was being outshined.
You know?
He brought a phenotype to the main cast that none of the other guys were bringing. So even in terms of like variety, we have so many brunettes.
Right, the only blonde-haired, blue-eyed one, strangely, in the male cast, which is funny. There is also the aspect of like, because as we said, he's the supporting character mostly. He's a largely inoffensive character, right? Like he never does anything outwardly like shaking the game or rocking the boat. So it's like sometimes in a story, the biggest offense you could lay against the audience is not be interesting. So maybe that's what it is that people don't think he's interesting enough. And so then in retrospect, they become annoyed by how long he exists in the story. And I guess it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, in these first few seasons, I'm like, hey, he has his place and his role. It's a supporting role, and
He
that's
really
fine.
does. Somebody's gotta do it.
But in a fandom that, you know, fawns over the Damons, the Niklauses, the Malachi Parkers
The Malachi
of the
freaking
world,
Parkers.
it is unsurprising to me that someone like Matt Donovan is seen as uninteresting and dull.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I think Matt is a fairly solid character. I think he's a very kind and empathetic, sweet character on average. And I think that he serves a thankless role in the main cast as that grounded person, as that human person, as the one who is at risk of harm and can remind you that these characters have people they care about and want to protect. He's the one that speaks to some of the main characters when they need to work through emotional stuff, when we need to propel the thematics of the narrative as opposed to the text plot. I think he does a lot for the main cast, and it's a shame that, like, you know, somebody had to fall through the cracks, and if it's not Tyler, it's Matt.
And I mean, maybe because Tyler is often removed from the story for incredibly long stretches of time, so people get to miss him. And also because Tyler has superpowers and Matt doesn't. It could be like, you know, patriarchy and misogyny abounds. Matt is
The weakest
from
character.
a certain point onwards, forevermore, the weakest character, and very often being saved by the girls on the team, which isn't really true of the other boys on the team. Even Jeremy gets an upgrade in season 4. So maybe it's also that thing of like, oh, he's a weak beta male. We can't root for him or be attracted to him or project ourselves onto him, so we don't like him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because even Alaric, who when he was a squishy human was running around with like all the hunter
Hunter
experience and the
extraordinaire.
hunter equipment. Maybe because I like having a token human on the team. Like if everyone's gonna be, as Jenny Nicholson once said, as these supernatural TV shows progress and everyone finds out what Halloween store costume they are. It's nice. It's nice to have that person who's still just an ordinary Homo sapien. Maybe if he'd been possessed by a Nogitsune for one season,
Just for a
they would have
solid
liked him
season.
more.
Just to spice it up a little bit, you know, Zach Rohrig pulling off. I do think a little bit of a heel turn in an interim season might have given him something fun to work with. And I suppose in the upcoming season, there is a little bit of that, but not executed in the best way.
In another life where Kelly Donovan got to be a succubus as they were planning, maybe some incubus heritage coming through.
It would explain why all these powerful immortal women are so into
You
him.
know?
Like a little bit of incubus energy
Actually.
in that Donovan would make some sense. Yeah.
Did we say actually that's why his blood was driving Caroline wild? She was already fully in control.
But ultimately, like I said, no ill will in my heart, no malice. I was just curious as to what the people feel about Matt. And yeah, we have enough reasons that kind of make sense in an interrogation of the culture of fandom and of this genre and of the people who consume this genre, and how we view characters and honestly how we view men.
Yes.
I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's a shame that it makes a lot of sense.
He seems to have a lot of the same energy. We were speaking about Zach Dempsey from 13 Reasons Why earlier. He has a lot of that same energy, and I wonder why it is that, because people adore Zach, I wonder why it is that people can adore Zach but find Matt boring. I mean, the shows came out at different times. They're in slightly different genres because this is supernatural.
13 Reasons Why was in the peak of the woke era of like the 2016, 2017 kind of, you know.
Yeah.
But also, it's a genre thing, right? It's like in the supernatural genre where everyone's a Halloween costume, the bad boys are kind of fun. In a story about the trauma of being a teenager, when we're talking about really intense topics like assault and violence and bullying and all this stuff, it's like none of the bad boys, quote unquote, in that story are people you want to like, except for maybe Justin. But Justin's a special case. I think he gets away because of pretty privilege. That's a whole other thing.
Because of pretty privilege, and he was homeless for a while, and he was struggling with addiction, and that makes sense. In a show dealing with like trauma and all that stuff, a nice safe himbo. It makes sense that he's beloved by the fandom.
A genuinely good, nice, strong guy is a refreshing find in a sea of just like the worst teenage boys you've ever met in your life. So,
Truly.
of course you love Zach. But yeah, function of the genre. I don't have any further thoughts on Matt in the first 4 seasons. How about you?
I've said all I can say.
Then until next time, thank you for joining us, listener, for our return to our mainline episodes. If you have enjoyed this episode, have any questions, thoughts, or just want to say hi, you can mail us at animalattackpod@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at animattackpod. That's at ANIM attack pod. You'll find the link tree in our bio that has all our online stuff. It's been a while. Give us a rating on wherever you're listening to us. Give us a review if you feel so inclined. It helps us get out there in the feeds, helps us find more listeners who can join in, and we would love for that to happen. With that said, thanks again for listening. See you in the next one. Cheers.
Bye.